Good morning.
Okay, all right. All right, you want me to do it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Really? All right, we are live. It is 9 o'clock, and I'm going to call this Boyle County Fiscal Court meeting to order, April 22nd, 2025 at 9 a.m. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum, and has this meeting been properly advertised?
Yes.
Great. Okay, Magistrate Sleeper, you are up for the invocation this morning.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to come together and do the business of the county. We thank you, Lord, for our elected officials, but also for those who are participating today and those who are taking interest in the workings of the community. We ask, Lord God, you'll help us to make good decisions that will be to the best benefit of our constituents and our community. And Lord, keep us ever mindful of the fact that good communities, great communities, take care of their most vulnerable. And Lord, we pray you watch over our first responders and those who are serving to defend our country, Lord God. We ask your blessing and protection upon them as they protect us. And we thank you for all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, today we have with us Gracie T, and she is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. She is a senior at Boyle County High School. And Gracie, you want to introduce who you have with you?
This is my mom, Miss Tabitha T.
Miss Tabitha T. All right. All right, we're going to let you lead us in the pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and I have a certificate for you.
We had our pledge led by Frenchie today.
That's right, that's right.
I went and saw that Saturday night. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
It was wonderful.
I actually saw it about 6 times.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you taking time out.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah,
Great job
thank
in
you.
the play.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Loved it. Grease is the
Yeah,
word.
she did. It was good. It was really good.
Very good.
Yeah, have a good day. Okay, next we will move to prior meeting minutes, and we have the minutes from the April 8th meeting, which I would like to thank Magistrate Ellis for serving as Judge Pro Tem of that meeting while I was sick that day.
You are very welcome.
Believe me, you all would not have wanted me here, so. So I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Magistrate Gates, or a second?
Second.
Magistrate Sleeper, any discussion on the minutes?
I have one point. It's not directly related to the minutes, but it does relate somewhat in that thankfully our clerk recorded the minutes accurately, and that one vote, the paper recorded it as being unanimous, and the video recording was somehow, there was a technical difficulty and it was excluded, so appreciate the fact that caught that vote.
Oh, that's good.
You scared me, Steve. I thought you were going to tell how she coached me through the entire meeting.
That was obvious.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay. Budget transfers, Ms. Shannon.
I have budget transfers of $33,461.34.
Move that we approve the budget transfers as presented.
Okay, have a motion by Magistrate Gates, or a second?
Second.
Magistrate Bodner, any discussion?
Yeah, just had a question. I think
Okay.
Jamie and I talked about these, but I think we discussed these before. I just want to get clarification. There's 2 transfers that just don't line up. One's for 1525, where it's building maintenance and repair over to vehicle parts. And then the other one is that 1957-59, community education and training to new equipment other. Were those ones we discussed before?
Where one line had some money left and the other line was short, and we were just moving some money
moving them
to
around to cover the shortages.
Clean them up and then get rid of them, or
No, it's just
we needed to, we overspent?
we overspent.
Okay.
and those lines that needed money transferred into.
But we did discuss those, that's my recollection, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought we discussed them during the budget, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the budget transfer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Next, we have cash transfers.
I have a $50,000 transfer from the general fund to the road fund.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Cullen, second by Magistrate Ellis. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have approved the bills. Ms. Elena?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Alrighty, in your bill packet today, you will see a total of $293.37. We're gonna add a $375 bill to that to the Kentucky Heritage Council. That is a tax credit application. So that's gonna bring your total to $213,068.37.
Move we pay the bills as presented.
Motion by Magistrate Gates, your second.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. And will you send Brent Blevins in, please?
I sure will.
Always glad to talk to
Oh,
you.
good morning.
Good morning. You all, you probably see this in your packet. It's a sheet that looks like this. I apologize, the back. I know it probably didn't print it very well, what you're seeing. But I always like to put the reportable diseases on there, just to remind you, there's about 102, 104 of them on there that at the health department that we keep up with if there's an issue. And it just goes to show in the public health world how much can truly be out there. Now, obviously, we never want any of these to hit, and we certainly don't want them to hit all at one time or anything like that, but it just gives you a general reminder of what that looks like. On the front side of that, first thing I'll do is, let's just get right to the tax rate, and it's staying the same this year as it was last year. It's not
Which
changing
is?
any. It was 3.6.
3.6.
3.6, yes. So it's gonna stay the same. A couple things on the financial side of the health department. I think it's good for you all to hear just a little bit once a year on what that is. We continue to carry about a $4.5 million liability to the Kentucky retirement system. And that's gonna be there for the next 27, 28 years. Tried to negotiate with them a little bit to pay a little bit more at times, but that's not how their system works. So we do keep some surplus funds just to account for that down the road, because at some point, we're gonna need to have that to help pay that retirement. For the people who are retired now from the health department, people working there now, and the people that'll work there in the future.
Thought that was your retirement.
I wish. That'd be nice, but it's just the way the or the retirement system works for Kentucky. So, and you can see the numbers that we've got down through there. Really proud of those. At the very bottom, you'll see three things I put underneath harm reduction, and I think it's important for the community and for you all to see these terms too. You've already heard of fentanyl, xylazine. Xylazine we've been talking about the last couple of years. The one at the very bottom, the nitazine, is the latest. And it was one that was created years ago, and apparently it was so powerful they never released it for actual public use. But it's out there now. And so we've got the test strips out there. We put them out as much as we can. And it's one of those things that sometimes in the public, people are like, well, how are you giving out test strips? Because you're just encouraging. And my thing is, if they're going to use, I'd rather them do that than show up at our door with the xylazine, literally with their skin coming off their bone, because that's what it does to them. And we've had those cases come into Boyle County already. They've come to our office. They've ended up at the emergency room trying to treat them. There's not a lot you can do for that. If it's xylazine, it's atrocious stuff. It's just what it is, but they're in the supply, so I think it's good for y'all to hear those terms.
Brent, I'm confused.
Yes.
Are the strips going out to professionals, or are the strips going out to the victims who are using
People
it?
who are using them.
Well,
Is what that's our goal.
then is the follow-up that Narcan works for it or not?
Narcan works as long as it's opioid based. So the opioid based Narcan will help. Sometimes what we're well, not sometimes. One of the things we're running into now is, used to be we'd give everybody one dose, they'd do the one dose of Narcan and that would be enough. Now it's not uncommon, you get up 3, 4, 5 doses that it's taking for somebody just for it to keep them functioning till EMS can get to them, they can get to a hospital, emergency room. It's ugly. I'll just tell you, these 3 down here, they're ugly. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
I want to make sure that I recall this correctly, because I've got drugs that my pharmacist said, well, you know, if it's expired and it's the only thing available to you, use it. I think I asked you that 3 or 4 years ago about Narcan, and I think your response was, if it's expired and you need it, use it.
Absolutely.
It won't hurt you.
Absolutely.
Okay. What's distressing to me is 1,246 doses at a cost that used to be very substantial. Those are doses that we have given out in this county?
Yes.
What is our cost now?
It's about $39 a dose.
So it's really come down.
Oh, it was 80 some when we started, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Now, one of the things that could affect this, we get a lot of those doses of Narcan right now from the UK core program, which is Amy Annis. Everybody knows probably Amy Annis. As long as that program keeps going, we can continue to get that Narcan from them at the moment. If the UK core program stops, then we will lose access to that, and then we'll be down to more. The Boyle County ASAP, we do allow or allocate some funding every year to pay for Narcan, so we give out some on our own. But I can tell you it's nowhere near the amount that Amy Annis gets out with that UK money. So let's hope that money keeps going. I haven't heard in the, on the political clawback or anything. Amy hadn't said anything to me that her funding is part of that. I hope it never is, because that's a heck of a program. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's a lot of money.
Brent, if the funding holds up, are you recommending that instead of us keeping 2 doses on hand, to keep 4 for this nicotine, or?
If you can have at least a couple of boxes, and when I say a box, inside of each box there's 2 squirts.
Yeah.
So if you can keep a couple of boxes in a car or with you, I think it's a great idea, the way it is these days.
What's the impact of heat in the summertime? Still use it.
Yeah, you're talking about using oh, absolutely. If you've got somebody laying there and they're unconscious and you even somewhat think it could be opioid related, use it. The great thing about Narcan is if you used it on somebody that wasn't opioid, it doesn't hurt them, which is the great thing about Narcan. Because a lot of medications are not like that. They'll carry side effects that'll do something else to you. One other number right underneath the Narcan, you'll see the homeless rooms paid for. And 482, and that's the program we had where we had essentially COVID funding. That money is gone. We used every bit of it. Over the last 2 years, we used a little over $70-some thousand doing those hotel rooms. Now, I'm the first to admit that program, it's a Band-Aid type program. We were able to do one night if they were positive for COVID, 2 or 3 nights. But at least it did it for a couple of years. It helped with that. And it made them come in our office and talk to our people in harm reduction, which sometimes I think was one of the best benefits, because out of that you'll see some of them got referred to treatment, some of them medical care. They would come in, they had medical needs, we were able to refer them out. So, but that money is no more. And if you look at the COVID funding that has been talked about on the clawback, that was part of that funding. Sorry. Oh, you're fine. One other piece, I'll just give you a little on the political side of that. Everybody's heard about that they're trying to claw back some of that money. The state actually allocated the health department around $77,000 this year of just straight COVID funding. I was surprised that we had any left. So when they started talking about taking that back, took that out of our budget, then the state came back and said, no, you got to put it in our budget. So it is in our budget at the moment. I do not expect that funding to stay there once we get to July 1st. I would assume that funding will probably be gone. It's just my assumption. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that's my assumption. Seems like I get a lot of questions about that right now, about what impact or any on the Health and Human Services. Surprisingly enough, I was in Washington DC over the weekend, walking by a building, turned around and looked, and it was the Health and Human Services building right next to me. I'd never seen it. It's kind of a cool little piece of history in the middle of the political kind of things that are going on in the health and human service world right now. Smoke-free, you know, we've got Paravel, we've got Danville. We're looking more at just a city kind of version of that now, so we're not doing anything immediately at this moment, but maybe that's kind of what we're going to look at down the road, have some more discussion on that. So, all right, I know I'm talking fast, trying to get, I know you all are busy today. Any other questions, anything like that that you've got for us? Or
We just need to acknowledge the rate.
Yes.
Will you bring in the sheet that you normally have?
Got it.
There you go.
Got it. I had to
Okay.
call Chris this morning. I messed up and thought I'd messed it up, but I got that worked out. So I think
Okay.
we're good, but I've got it.
Okay.
Question on new construction. We're still at 1 acre or more for a home, especially because of septic systems, correct?
I do not know. On the
Okay.
acreage, I don't know. I know
Well, we can ask Rusty.
one of the biggest rules we have now on new homes is if you put in a septic system, you have to have the equal amount to have repair for when repair is down the road, meaning it's, you know, the way it is now, if you have an existing home, you can get it repaired for the most part.
In
If
the
you're
same
building a new
system.
home, yes, the same system. Now, you might have to do some different things with that, a fill and wait or whatever that turns into. But a new home, you have to have enough room on a lot now so that if your system, if you drive over it with a tractor 20 times and it totally crushes it, can you put the same system right next to it? Probably not the tank, but at least the leach field lines. But I don't know on the acre, I just don't know.
Let's just go ahead and get a motion to approve the
Make that
3.6%. Measure Cullen and second by Measure Bodner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you guys
All
very
right.
much. I always appreciate talking to y'all.
Thank you. You want to leave that and let me, do I need
Yeah,
to
I'm
sign it
gonna
or?
have to leave it with Chris.
Okay.
Yep.
All
And then
right.
I'll give one to Casey.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, we have postponed item number 8 to next month, so we'll bring that back first meeting in May. Next is Sheriff, is he out in the hall, Magistrate? Flipper? Yeah.
Doorkeeper.
Tell him and Mr. Johnson and Casey to all come in.
Let me get Casey.
They can all come
Casey,
in.
and who else?
Johnson, Roger.
Oh,
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, they can all come in, being they're all together.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully the long list of the agenda, I'm the shortest here, here to get you all to recognize my first quarter report.
Okay. So, acknowledged.
Good to go.
Anything you need to tell us? Okay.
I just have one deputy that's started the academy, but it's online right now, and then he'll start in a couple weeks.
Okay.
So we have to pay him a deputy in that process, so that's always a good thing.
Okay. We do not have to approve it, we just only have to acknowledge it. So.
Did you have any bumps and bruises from Saturday night?
No, I wasn't prepared to play, but unfortunately I had to.
It was a fun time.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
For those who
Thank
don't
you,
know, we
Sheriff.
had donkey basketball out in Portland. It was great.
It was great.
Sir.
Okay, next up, Road Supervisor.
Hold on,
Mr.
Judge,
I'm
I
sorry.
have one question.
Sure,
Sorry.
absolutely.
Yes, sir. It's getting nicer out. I've had quite a few calls already on people riding golf carts, side-by-sides, on streets and stuff like that. My understanding, those are, and Chris can jump in here too, those are not allowed on streets. They're not street legal. Golf cart, I think it's 35 mile an hour or 25 mile an hour street. You can have a golf cart. And I'm pretty sure they're about to make the ATV or side-by-sides license, so we'll.
Actually, on the ATVs, the legislation, I believe, and we can check it before the next meeting, only applies to farmers. You're not according to?
No.
I think it's everyone.
No, it's,
Yeah.
but it's only selected roads.
Yeah.
And they have
It's
to,
the roads.
they have to have a sheriff's inspection and everything, like they have
Right.
to, like they have to go through a lot of hoops to be able.
I knew there was some
You
qualifications.
get a golf cart,
You have to
Or
pass an
No, no golf
ordinance.
cart.
motorcycle tags, what I meant,
Right.
yeah.
We'll be bringing an ordinance to you on that soon.
Good.
Okay? I just need to get.
So, but for now, as I get these
Right.
phone calls about people running around,
Yeah,
what,
that's not
what
in
is your
effect right now.
recommendation, Chris, what's your recommendation? Just have the sheriff come out, have them talk, and then I guess we'll coach them through at that point about the, getting them tagged and everything like that to be street legal?
Yes, sir. Depending on the situation, I mean, if it's a juvenile, where we stop it right there, and if it's an adult, like, hey, take it back to your trailer or whatever. Majority of the time, it's people like on the Fourth that go for a ride, and they may cross the road to go to another farm to ride. But
Yeah.
I know Shelby Greene subdivision, they have some dirt bikers in there and stuff like that. We've tried to talk to them.
Okay.
There's a couple people out there that know that they're not supposed to be on the road and
Okay.
take care of that.
But for now, it's not legal.
Right now,
Yes.
And I had to prosecute actually somebody for that.
I have problems on Chenault Bridge, I got problems in Old Bridge, I got
Okay.
problems, actually in my neighborhood, we have them this weekend. So,
Just text me, call me, and we'll send somebody out.
cool, good deal, thank you.
Golf carts, it's 35 and under, they can.
I think it's 35 or it's 25. I would have to go with the counselor on that one.
I'm not sure on this legislation, so I'm gonna have to research.
No, but currently,
I didn't
currently
realize-
it's not allowed,
I didn't
right?
think golf carts are allowed.
No,
Not at
even,
all.
even if you have them licensed,
I thought they, I'll have to look that up, because we have a golf cart inspection form for that.
all right, well, good to know.
Well, if you find out anything definite, pop back in here and let us
I
know.
will.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
thanks, Sheriff.
appreciate it. All right, next up, County Clerk,
Me?
Casey
You
McCoy.
are the clerk, right?
Roger was ready.
Don't go.
Oh, I marked him off. I'm sorry, Roger. I marked you off.
He will go. I'll be here all day. I'll be longer than you.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I done
You
put a
done marked
strike
me
through
out.
your number. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was moving right along.
What's going on with it?
You steered right by it.
Yeah. Well, good morning. anyway.
Good morning.
I'm here this morning to purchase a blacktop paver for our skid steer, this morning.
Which is in the budget.
And it's in the budget, and the actual price is $55,000.
Is this the only one?
Yes. So it's a sole source.
Sole source tool, you got everything you need for
Yeah.
that, or?
Yes,
we do.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yes.
And that's the reason it's taken us longer to, I've been dealing with it for over, almost 2 months, trying to get the sole source and everybody in line on all that before I brought it before you
All the
so
signatures.
all the signatures and all that, so, yes.
Make a motion that we approve the
Purchase.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Magistrate Gray, a second by Magistrate Cullen. Is there any discussion? I just want to say I am thoroughly excited about this because I think it's really going to help on roads where there's part of the road is gone or it's broken up or whatever,
Right.
and we don't have to wait on the big paving company to get time to come and do a small
Right.
section. So this will only be used for small sections of road.
Right.
Yeah, Roger and I talked about one of my roads where literally it's beautiful, and then all of a sudden you
You
got
just
from
got
here to
this
here to the wall.
just a rough
Yeah, rough spot
spot
in
or
the road.
whatever.
That's county roads though, right?
County roads, yes, yes, county roads.
This is gonna make some of those folks on that road very happy.
Yeah, we might have to have a little extra help when we have this thing. That's in the next, that's in the next deal.
Is there much
Anyway.
training to using this piece of equipment?
Well, we had to pay for the training, and then it's in the package also. So when they deliver it, they'll send a guy, they'll get it all hooked up for us. We'll go through a training. I think we'll have to pick out a spot, and they'll,
I can
you
show
know,
where-
when you can get blacktop, and he'll show us how it works and
Yeah.
train us on it.
Just
So-
easily connect and disconnect from
And
the,
it's,
from the skid
yes,
steer.
yes, yeah. And it's also, it's also edger, you know, where you can put rock on the edge of the road. It also do that too. So it's kind of a multi-purpose.
Yeah.
You know, do shouldering on the side of the road. It also do that also. So it's a kind of a multi-purpose. Lay sand also. So it's a kind of a multi-purpose.
It's something that we need, and
Yeah.
I want to thank Director Johnson, I cannot talk this morning, Director Johnson for being so agreeable to go in with this piece of equipment and,
Well, yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And the end, you was agreeable. But I think it's gonna
Okay.
benefit our county
Right.
roads and our
Yeah.
constituents, so I
Right.
appreciate
Thank you.
that. All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
That Roger?
Yes, sir.
Did you get my text about St. Mildred's Court?
Yes, and I wanted to talk to you about that. Me and Trilly's gonna go out, right out and look at it and see if we can get it on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's back there, it kind of gets forgotten sometimes.
Yeah. We got several little roads that get
Oh,
forgotten, so.
I'm sure.
Meadows.
Yeah.
St. Mildred's Court or St. Michael's?
St. Michael's.
St. Michael's, sorry.
Yeah.
That's you, St. Mildred.
Yeah.
You can have that road.
It's like, why are we taking care of that?
No, it's all right. That's
Yeah,
on
me
street.
and Trilly and myself talked about that, and we, gonna ride out and look at it and see if we can get it on the list for,
Okay. And how
for
close are
this
we on?
upcoming deal.
How close are we on Hunt Farm project?
Probably next week. I got two projects going on right now. One's at Upper Salt River and another's at Short Line. Where we had some slippage on the roadside.
Short line's kind of an emergency
Yeah,
because the
we're-
pavement has
Yeah, the whole
Up and
hill,
down.
half the road is slipped off down. So, you know, we gotta kinda get on it pretty quick. And, just soon after that, we've laid that out over in the building over there and figured out what all we need to do to get it put down on the road.
90
So-
bolts.
Well, it's 96 boats
96 bolts
per section.
per section.
So,
That's a lot.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of drilling.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Any update on our rerouting of our river and our bridge?
No, sir. I think Julie and Trilly's working on some kind of, RFP to,
And we've
Maybe
got to go
we'll
forward
work
on that, right?
huh?
We've got to go through the feds on that?
Not yet.
But-
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
We're just building up to maybe have to, but,
Yeah.
you know, if we can do it otherwise.
When you get it done
we'll do
through the state, we won't have to. So that's what we're gonna try
Right.
that route first.
Right,
Thank you.
right.
And then Mitchellsburg Knob, I was out there this weekend. This, what's gonna go on with that road there? It's state,
It's state road, so I'm not sure.
there's several spots along there that,
Yeah, starting to.
I come across there Saturday.
I went there for years right
All
now. Thanks,
right.
Roger.
Thank you,
Sorry
sir.
about the speed bumps, but they're working really well on Old Lexington.
Right.
People there are real happy with it because and that's kind of what
Right.
we're at Hunt
Okay.
Farm because it's getting crazy out there.
All right, well, we'll get on it as soon as we can get going here. You know,
Come with it out, come
all
on.
these other little projects. You know. All right.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Sheriff, do you have a,
Yes, ma'am. It's KRS 189-286. Golf cart, and it has to be insured, inspected, and it has to have headlamps, tail lights, stop lamps, front turn signals, front and rear turn signals, parking brake and a horn, seat belts, stuff like that. And it can be on a 35-mile-an-hour road. I'm trying to find it had to be 16 years or older and a valid driver's license. The operator of the golf cart does not cross a roadway at an intersection where the roadway being crossed has posted speed limit of more than 35 miles an hour. So if you're trying to think, my dad has a golf, and it has all of the, it has a windshield, it has, I think it may have speedometer, it has all the, everything it's supposed to have. trying to think, because all of the speed limits in Peril were either 25 or 35.
So if you're out at Old Bridge, you can't take it across 34.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I was trying, yeah.
Yep,
You can't take it from Old Bridge to Chanel Bridge. Yeah, or
not supposed to.
not supposed to. You can take it, but you're not supposed to do it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. All right, now, County Clerk Casey McCoy.
All right. First, we'll start just by acknowledging our quarterly budget for report for.
Okay. Court acknowledges first quarter report. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions about the report? Okay.
All right. The second part is I've been asked to come here to talk a little bit about our new doc alert system that that the clerk's office is taking part of with our partners in software management. First, I'll read a little thing, just kind of explains it, and then I'll go, Bill's setting me up here to show you how to do it. As long as it works. Don't really look at my big mug up there on the TV, but that's
We
fine.
couldn't make it without our IT guy.
That's right, that's right. So Doc Alert Service is a complementary tool designed to help protect you from fraudulent activity related to property transactions on deeds and mortgages. This free service will monitor public filings and provide timely updates to those who sign up, offering peace of mind and an extra layer of security. Once you sign up, you'll receive an email update with your sign up, and whenever a deed or mortgage is filed in your name, each alert will include the time and date of filing, empowering you to act quickly. If the transaction is familiar, you can simply ignore the email. However, if it's unexpected, you have the necessary information to contact our office, the clerk's office, right away for further investigation. This proactive service is designed to protect your property by keeping you informed of relevant filings. Again, you can sign up for free and take control of your security. Again, this is through Software Management, who also runs our website. Once you go to, it's Boyle County Clerk, all one word, .ky.gov. It's also on our Facebook page, and Bill's also put it on our county website also. So, and it directs everybody here. You just click on records. Again. And right here it kind of gives you an overview of what exactly Doc Alert is, what it's about, gives you some information on it. Just click on sign up. It'll forward you to a different website. And this is it right here. And it goes through all the things, and it talks about, it has a lot of the frequently asked questions. You can go there, and it has a lot of questions that people typically ask. But it's super simple. If you go through our website, the county's already on Boyle. You can just put in the name, middle name, and last name, how it shows up on the document. So however it shows on your deed or mortgage is how you need to put it into Doc Alert. And then you have to enter your email. And then just to confirm all your information, you go over here and you click on, or you enter the same information twice, that way you know it's right. And then once you do, all you do is hit submit. It'll then send you an email to the email that you provided, and you're signed up for Doc Alert. So it's super simple. Go ahead, Tom.
Not for folks who are in their late 70s. I was hoping that we would walk through it today, because I was even telling people that if they could watch our screen after today's meeting, that they would see how to do it. You even mentioned one thing that seemed contrary to talking to one of your staff. You said, and put in your middle name, but I'm sure my deed to my home does not have my middle name in it. It just has the initial, so I'm already very confused.
Well, then if that was the case, you would just put your initial in there. However it
Okay.
shows up on your deed.
That's why I was asking, since you mentioned that and didn't say initial or middle
Well, I
name.
also said that you need to put it in there how it shows up on your mortgage or your deed. So if it shows up on there as just a middle initial, then you would just put your middle initial. If it shows up there with your full name.
And you have our deed information so that we can, because I have no idea exactly whether first and last
Okay,
name?
yeah, all you have to do is call up the office and we can either look it up for you or stop in and we can pull it up.
Yeah,
for
you could probably just go over there after the meeting and.
You
and
betcha.
get it in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's super easy, and like even if I would sign up myself, but of course I've already signed up for it, so before I knew I was gonna do this, so I'd have waited and done it so I could show you, but you literally just put in your name and your email, and you can even do it as a business also, the business name. If you own property in another county, say you own property in Gary County, you would have to go to their website and sign up through Gary County under that name that shows up on the deed or mortgage in that county, and you would also receive alerts.
So wherever you own property, you
Right.
can go to that county and do the same thing?
As long as that county is through software
Okay,
management. So
okay.
Gary County is, Lincoln County's not. Mercer County is. So like, there's a lot of, well over half the counties in the state of Kentucky are through software management. So most of the surrounding counties here of Boyle are on software management. So if you do own property, you could.
So if I go to look your computer that's in there that we use to look things up, if I go there, it'll show me exactly what my deed looks like, or do I
Right.
need to go? Okay, so I
You can do that, or just ask the ladies in the back and they can pull it up for you and,
Okay.
and write it down.
Ours is in lockbox, so I don't wanna have to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
no, super easy.
I just learned that you all got your delinquent taxes this morning, so
Unfortunately.
after court might not be a good time, or
It'll be fine.
how's that working?
We'll make it work.
Okay,
It'll be fine.
all right.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That's another thing, delinquent taxes are now, they're turned over to our office and now we're up on our website also.
But, yeah, just yesterday, Joe on his radio program was talking about it again and talked about another thing coming through. If the sheriff was here, he'd be familiar with it. And now a letter is going around to people in Boyle County saying you're $14,700 in arrears. See, these scams are very frightening to the older folks and everyone in the community. But to lose your home and then have on top of it a mortgage when someone has stolen your property
Right.
is a devastating thing. So we need to encourage everybody to go through this process. And if Bill could develop some kind of a tutorial, like when you get a new television set, I think that would be great if he could put that online.
Well, we also have, I have paper in the office that can provide you step-by-step information on how to do it.
Instruction sheet?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, this isn't something that'll prevent something from happening, but it's a tool that can keep you,
Alert you.
yeah, alert you and notify you that something is filed in your name in our office.
Well, then if we, responded by coming back to your office with a phone call or a visitation, they would stop the circumstance. Now, I'm a thief in Taiwan, and I've exercised it trying to get it done within 24 hours. You'd be blocking it because we've got this set up.
Correct.
And what time period would there be before you release it and he's stolen my home?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't really truly answer that.
In other words, do we have 48 hours? Do we have 72 hours?
It would depend on the fact whenever you got the alert, if you contacted the office either that next morning or as soon as you got it. Because sometimes documents come in through e-recordings and we do them all within 15 minutes of each other.
That's
the
frightening thing.
Well, I mean, I don't know how we can not.
Don't have alarm bells and whistles going off when one comes through.
But this is a service that's offered free to everyone in Boyle County, so I mean it's better than the alternative of having nothing. So.
It's not like it's a car.
Very
where they
much
can just
appreciated, absolutely.
Take it and go away with it. It's your house. It'll be uncomfortable for a little bit trying to go through the legal system to get it back, but at least you're providing a service to notify people that it could be happening. And then if it does happen, you come in, you go through law enforcement, and you get the deed corrected and everything's all good to go. So.
And this, I know it happens a lot and it's terrifying, but it's never happened here since I've been here. So, which doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just the fact that
I'm on your watch, huh?
It just hadn't happened. So
Right.
luckily,
Yeah.
So it's just another tool to help.
Genuinely appreciated, Casey. Thank you.
So like I said, if anybody has any questions, call, feel free to stop in and we'll get you signed up. It's super easy.
Good deal.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, good to know. Good information. Okay, next up, we have got John Welsh with Bob Allen Fleet. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
I prepared sort of just a generalization because with this leasing program and the leasing that you guys had pitched to you from an outside company, I have found that leasing, it's each individual need of the vehicle. You know, if you've got a vehicle that you've got running around the county all day long and you're putting 50,000 miles a year on it, it's probably not a good idea. If you've got one running around here locally and it's not as much used and the mileage is going to be low, leasing can be very good. With my customers, we advise a lease and sit down with them and find out their individual needs, mileage, everything that comes along with it. It can really protect you. It protects you from market swings. We had a lot of customers that leased prior to COVID and then came to trade in during COVID, and used vehicle values were way up here, and they got to take advantage of their equity and trade it in on a new one or buy out theirs because it was a great buy. And then we had customers the other way around that leased during COVID, and they got to the end 6 months ago and used vehicle values were down here and they owed this, and it was a good decision for them to turn the keys in and walk away because they were protected from that equity swing that the market goes by. Also, Carfax is a huge deal in the used car market now, and the future value of vehicles. And my wife was lucky. I had leased her a Maxima, and she got rear-ended in Lexington with just 4,000 miles on the car. She hadn't even had her first oil change yet. It did a lot of damage, an airbag went off. It was towed from the scene, and all that was printed on Carfax, so the value of her vehicle did this.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, obviously, we didn't want to purchase that vehicle out, so we stayed under the mileage. We turned it in, and we walked away from it, and it protected us from that depreciation of that accident that we would have had to have suffered if we owned the vehicle. So there are a lot of good things about leasing. I can't honestly sit and advise you that that would be the way for the county to go without knowing all the facts and advise you the right way to go. I know a lot of our customers with these outside leasing companies, such I assume it was Enterprise, maybe not, but I assume it was, have gone away from that. And some of our bigger corporations that were with Enterprise Leasing. Enterprise tends to have a pretty strict value, and you have to take the car to them to do a lot of your maintenance needs. And that didn't work out well for these guys. And one big account in particular that we have was the railroad company in Nicholasville, Corman. And they did that, and they got away from it, and now they go through us, and they do 10, 12 at a time and lease them, and it's worked out very well for them because they can maintain their own cars in their garages and use their maintenance rather than having to go elsewhere to do it. Also, Enterprise doesn't give a lot to our schools. You know, I do. and community needs around here, and we donate a lot of money to the community and the county and the city and the schools, and we employ 120 people here locally, and Enterprise does not. If anyone that makes these decisions would like to sit down with me and go through your vehicle needs, we could possibly even work something out through the dealership where you could lease through us. And then maintain your own cars in your garages. But without knowing all the facts and without knowing your vehicle needs, it's hard for me to formulate that for you and give you good advice.
A majority of our fleet would be some type of emergency vehicle, like the sheriff's department.
Okay.
The vehicles that they use. How about the inventory on that? Are they scarce? Are they, can you get good inventory?
That's up and down with production.
Okay.
As the factories lately have had supplier issues. They're ready to build them, and take off, but they've had a lot of supply issues. For instance, sunroofs have become a big deal right now, to where the supplier with GM has gone out of business that supplied them with their sunroofs. So we've got 15 Tahoes on a lot now with no sunroofs because they lost their supplier. But really, that would depend on that. Sometimes they're easy to get, and we pull from a pool, and they've got them laying there, and we can get them and pull them. And sometimes, if they have a supplier issue, they aren't. You're 6 months out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would just, John, just so you know that the impact this decision would have on our local dealerships has been part of the conversation.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that you know that we have not forgotten about your community support and our other big dealer in the communities. Community support as well, yeah.
Well, that's the main reason we invited them.
Yeah, and so that, so as we're making this decision, that has not been taken lightly, for sure.
Okay.
So I want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, we were trying to find solutions and opportunities to be able to still make sure that our people are in good quality, well-running vehicles, while still being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. Because if we're dropping, $300,000-$400,000 on just a couple of vehicles, if we could turn that around and make that into a lease payment instead, we're not paying for everything up front. We're stretching that out over 3 years or whatever. That helps us to be able to buy more vehicles, make sure the vehicles are newer, in good condition, while also still being able to do other things with those tax dollars. Because it's as a county, it's harder for us to. We can't raise taxes. We can't do anything. We're in a bind. So now we've got to get creative on how we can make the tax dollars that we have work. When we have partnerships like with the city where they're asking for money for Parks and Rec and for these things, and so we're just trying to do this juggling act. Like, okay, well we spent $300,000-$400,000 on 5 vehicles for this year, and we're going to have to do the same thing next year. Is there a way that we could take those and just almost kind of have a monthly payment? That's a fraction of that, and we still get the same amount of vehicles. That's kind of where we were at with this whole lease option.
We did a program for 3 cruisers with Anderson County at one time, where we supplied them with the cruisers, and we did a 2-year lease with a buyout of $1, to where they leased them from us for 2 years. And what they did is they made the first annual payment, and then a year from then they made another annual payment, and then a year from then they could buy it out for $1, and they paid us. We did that through us.
Okay. So those are the ideas we're looking for.
That may be something that we could do with the county and
yeah. I mean, this is our need, and this is what we have, and so So
I would sort of need to know the vehicle needs, and I'd sit down with whoever I needed to and go through that, what it would look like, and
what our inventory is and how it would work with what you can supply.
Yeah, we always try to push local as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, Mr.
John, whether fleet or individual lease, of your total business lease versus direct sales, about what percentage do you have?
25%.
As lease?
It's real close. Tends to be a little heavier with the foreign lines. That's the trucks and American-made vehicles.
That's going to get tough with tariff changes, right?
Well, a lot of the Nissans are made in Smyrna.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Already made here.
Yeah. We, I'm very pro-lease. I lease all my cars, lease all my wife's cars. I guess in the last 18 years, I haven't bought any tires, I haven't bought any brake pads. I haven't, you know, normal maintenance, oil changes, tire rotations, air filters, wiper blades, but she's a perfect candidate. I mean, she works for us and we live on Maple Avenue. She does a 3-year lease.
She can walk to work.
10,000 miles on the car at the end. But it just, to me, it's peace of mind. It's gonna protect me from, like I said, market swings, accidents. It's gonna protect us that I know she's always under warranty, always has roadside assistance. And she's always driving a new car because we did the 5 and 6 year buy things, and by the time we got to year 4, a new model came out. She's like, man, that's short. Look at trade. I always had a payment, so
Right.
you know, why not always drive a new car?
All right, any other discussion,
That's it.
comments? All right, well,
All right,
John,
guys.
thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if Ben Johnson is here yet. We kind of scheduled it, we didn't know exactly how long, you know, the morning session was gonna take, so if he's not, then we'll come back to him when he gets
Perfect,
here.
yeah.
We'll go ahead. All right, treasurer, Shannon Greene.
Here. In your package, you should have the treasurer's monthly settlement for March. And I have also submitted the third quarter report to DLG
And I would like to add, early.
early.
It's
That's all
awesome.
done.
It's awesome. Yep.
I mean, for the current.
Yeah. So, on this treasurer settlement, you'll see there's the facility expansion account. It's got a balance of $159.71. I'd like to transfer that money into the general fund and close that account. And then also the ARPA federal grant, when we moved all that money, there was a little bit of interest left. I'd like to go ahead and move that to the general fund and close that account. And then the jail restricted account, there is a balance of $346,283.64.
Can you say that one more time,
The
please?
jail, joint jail restricted.
Mm-hmm.
On the monthly settlement, it says $453. We have paid Mercer County out of that, so
Right.
it's a $346,000. I'd like to move that to the Boyle jail fund and close that restricted account.
And that, all these things were talked about in the finance committee yesterday, so this is pretty much the finance committee report as
Recommendation.
well, and recommendations.
Good deal.
That we go along with these, and then we also, Shannon talked about just renaming the joint jail account to something different, looking for a better name there since it's no longer a joint jail account. So
Like
just a
jail
simple-
operating or something
Simply
like
a
that.
name change.
Taylor's got his finger up.
Does that mean now we're finished with everything with Mercer, everything's done?
As far as
As
we
far as
know.
we know.
As far as they know too.
Yeah.
We can rename it Hands Off Brian account.
That's right.
So I just need
So
approval
I'll make
to
a motion
move
to
those funds.
Okay.
make those changes to the report.
All right, we have a motion by Magistrate Gay, a second by Magistrate Cohen to make the transfers as presented by Treasurer Greene. All those, or any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, item 15, Bunny Davis pool repair. Back a couple of months ago, City Manager Earl Coffey and I had a discussion. He came over and was reporting that, you know, the pool at Bunny Davis has had a leak in it for a long time. They have finally found the location of the leak. It's pretty significant. It's gonna cost around $20,000 to fix it. And he was asking if the county would go in on half of that cost. So it would be $10,000 for us to go in to have the pool repaired. So I'm asking for a motion to approve that, and then we can transfer that to the city. They think that this where they have found the leak, they think that what they can do to fill it in will fix it. Now, I don't know, but that's just what, you know.
I think it's pretty much shot though, really. I think the pool is not good. I don't think it'll be fixed forever. Do you, Rick?
Yeah, I could make a comment. Last Parks and Rec meeting, they fixed those leaks, but then they found some more.
Okay.
We're gonna try to do that, Public Works, try to fix it with Public Works.
They
yeah.
fixed the big leak?
Fixed the big ones, went for, check leaks again, found a bunch of small ones.
Okay,
that
so I
wasn't
didn't
detected the first
have that
time. You
information.
didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Public Works or Danville's gonna try to fix that instead of spending the money.
Okay.
But we're patching, we just keep
Yeah.
patching.
It's the pressure of the old line. When they fix one, then it shoots up the others. The pressure comes up, so it shows up more little leaks. So
Yep.
just a bad system, you know, it's just old.
Right. So it's up to you all what you'd like to do. They have asked for $10,000 for half of the repair, $20,000 repair. They've asked for 10.
Do you wanna have a conversation maybe with Earl and Tommy to kinda, I mean, this is from a couple months ago.
Yeah,
And
it's been a
just
couple months.
see what their plan is.
Okay.
Because they keep finding leaks and it's not gonna fix it, what are they gonna do with it?
Yeah.
What did they say, Rick, the other day about that? Were they still planning to try to fix it? I was kind of leaving a little bit
Yeah, they're
early.
gonna try to fix themselves. They tried to exercise warranty, but apparently it's stated in the contract that
They won't do that.
They won't warn.
can't guarantee,
Yeah.
and we won't find.
Okay, I can have another conversation, or I can have them come to our next meeting and explain what's going on with the leaks and the pool repairs.
Not opposed to it, but,
Mm-hmm, I understand.
I mean, I was kinda leaning another way before we heard about more leaks.
Yeah, I didn't know about that either.
I think the overall goal is eventually to get us a new pool somewhere. I mean, that's gonna be a conversation eventually, I think,
Yeah.
that they talked about, and, yeah, so.
Well, and I agree with that,
Okay.
but it's, you know,
Yeah.
I've given my soapbox speech on that many times, but,
Okay.
I still think that for now, this is our outdoor community accessible pool, and I'm hoping we can keep it going till we have other plans that, you know, and I'm hoping we can find a better way, because I still think doing something there that's a little more permanent is probably the best scenario for the time being,
For now, yeah.
until we come up with a different type of revenue stream to pay for nice parks and rec things that this community deserves.
Yeah.
But we've got to have a revenue stream to pay for that, because it's not cheap.
Yeah, and I don't know what the
Thanks.
limit is if they keep finding more leaks,
I
and
know.
you keep putting money into it,
That's-
you know,
that's
what's
kind of-
the
that's-
limit that you're gonna go to say, okay, we can't do this anymore, you know?
Right, but I agree with that as well,
Yeah.
because, you know, the old saying about pools is they are a hole in the ground that you pour money into. So that's what this is, so we can.
But it is, you know, it's a community need, you know, the community
Absolutely.
needs a pool.
Yeah, and the
So-
community needs and
And
expects.
expects a pool.
Judge, under parliamentary rule, we technically need some kind of a motion on the floor, and I'd like to make a motion that we defer any decision on this to a future meeting.
So let's just
and
table the motion.
Table the motion.
Table it.
Table the-
But at the same time, by tabling it, we can't have a discussion, but by making it as a motion to defer
Okay,
with a second, we can have a discussion, because there's some points that I'd like to make.
Okay, so we have a
Second.
motion to defer by Magistrate Ellis, second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion?
It's been months, literally months, since we've had a joint meeting with the city. There are issues where we're being asked to help out on things, and there are issues on which we are being told what we will do with our taxpayer money. And I think whatever meeting we have in the future needs to be a much larger meeting about those concerns, so that we know that we're doing all we can to protect our taxpayers, many of whom will never be able to come in town and swim in that pool. And so that's the reason for my more comprehensive description of what we need to do to even come to terms with $10,000 expended of our taxpayer dollars.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none? All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries, and we will defer this and get some more information.
I would ask you how we go about seeing if there's a way we could request Parks and Rec Board consider changing their meeting date and time. It's hard where, like, you and I have another meeting that same day
Yeah,
that
right.
we would love to attend.
Every month.
Yeah, and it just, you know,
Yeah, we can ask.
yeah,
Talk to Tommy about that.
yeah, that would be, if the board would entertain it, would be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. We can find out.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will make a note to do that. Okay, Jailer, Brian Wofford.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So basically, I need to have my our policy procedures approved again. We have to do that every year. That's one of the items we get audited on. There's no changes. I think the last major change we had was when Master Horner was jailer. When he went out and I come in, we changed it. The jailer had to give the inmates foot cream treatments. Yeah. We changed that to the judge executive.
She'll be right out.
Sign me up.
So, but we didn't change anything in our policy since the last time it's approved, but it's one of those things we have to have them approved yearly for the auditors and stuff, so.
Okay.
That falls in the WWJD category, doesn't it?
And I actually did treat a foot fungus. Inmate Max had it bad. I put my rubber gloves on, went in, popped them, sit down, squeezed that cream out, rubbed them down.
So I have a teacher. All right, I don't think we had anything in our package,
Yeah,
but
there's no
it
change,
was nothing to
there's
change. So,
So
okay.
that's why, usually what we do is just send in the ones that's been changed,
Yeah.
so you don't have to read through the whole book, but there's
Okay.
nothing, so I still have to have it approved. It's
We have a motion
same as
to
last year.
approve.
Make a motion.
Magistrate Bodner, is there a second?
Second?
Magistrate Gates? Any discussion?
I was waiting for our jail guy.
I was waiting for time.
I was waiting for our jail guy to second. I was trying to give him a chance.
Our four guys outside, I second, yes.
All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
And our numbers for today, Boyle, we have 47, Mercer's at 18, I have 71 state, I'm holding one for another county. So today we were at a total of 137.
Thought Mercer was getting out.
Well, they have to pay until
Contract.
June the 30th, so they still have to pay for 20 beds.
So they're gonna keep them in there.
So-
They're gonna use them, yeah.
Yeah, so today
Makes
they're at
sense.
18, but they're paying for 20. So.
And so, have you and your committee talked about, possible rates that we're gonna charge people if we bring people in, or are we gonna keep it where we're at? We kind of gave the number to Mercer because, we thought they were going to leave if we went in or higher, and they left anyway, and so.
Well, looking at what other jails are charging, we're probably $20, $25 above. But they don't receive the services that we provide.
Right.
At our detention center.
Yeah.
With the mental health, substance abuse treatment and those things. So I think the going rate probably is about $45. Some jails will still charge whatever the state rate is, which I don't understand why we as taxpayers would subsidize another county's.
Nope.
I can't do that, you know. So, I mean, even if we're breaking even, you still have to look at, well, we're the ones that's gonna be sued.
Right.
We're the one that's held responsible if anything happens. So, you know, we may need to look at going down the road, maybe we just house Boyle County, and it'll be cheaper, but yes, the county contribution will be more, but that way we can focus on people that live in Boyle County that's gonna come back out and be our neighbors.
Yeah.
Because I think we're gonna have to look at, you know, continue with the mental health, the substance abuse, homelessness, because we get those in when the weather gets bad, and then, you know, where's our workforce development gonna come from? And I think that would allow us more flexibility to provide those opportunities for Boyle County citizens that live in Boyle County that's gonna come back out, that we want them putting into the system instead of taking out. And we have a history of people turning people's lives around, the fiscal court, and what we do at the jail, along with the Shepherd's House and all the other things. We see that it works.
And you made the point I was gonna make there. Our programs are recognized statewide, and we're the first to be recognized
We're
statewide.
recognized nationally.
Yeah.
We've been in national publications where they've talked about Boyle County.
So the value is there.
So yes, so that's why, that's a decision though the fiscal court will have to decide on the rate.
Yeah, then okay, I think these other counties are going to start seeing that it's cutting into their dollar pretty soon, and they're gonna have to come to the table too, where they'll probably have to increase them. You mentioned homeless. About how many homeless do you see that come in?
I don't have that number today, but we'll see those more when the weather gets cold.
Yeah.
And and they're not always honest. Sometimes they'll give an old address, but the ones that go out for an hour and they have long enough to walk to Walmart and get the shoplift to be arrested and brought back, you can tell they're homeless because they don't have anywhere to stay. They just don't want to, you know, it's too cold.
Are we thinking like a dozen? Are we thinking?
I would probably say probably between 10 and 15 in there. They get arrested. Some of them don't. So I know that Magistrate Sleeper was working with the homeless committee group, and you know, so that may be something we need to sit down and kind of look at. But and then one other thing. So we had a KJA board meeting last week in Maysville, and so I think this lawsuit with the state's probably going to be with another 6 to 12 months before it's, because of the state's going to. And you know, of course, the judge did rule in our favor on anything above ordinary medical. The state should be paying that, but the state's still not doing that. And so, you know, like typical care would be, hey, you come in, you're sick, you're seen by a nurse, we give you an antibiotic or something there. But if you have to go outside to the emergency room, that's above ordinary. That the county shouldn't be paying that on state inmates. Or if you're having to go through chemo or dialysis, that's above the ordinary. The state should be paying that cost. They should be getting those bills. So that's where we're still at on that. So I wanted to keep you updated on it. And then also, Anna Houston, and the name has changed several times. It's now called Sexual Violence Resource Center of the Bluegrass. I think it used to be ampersand, Jamie, is that? Okay, so she came in last week, and we're starting with our female population, and about 4 or 5 of those women signed up for that, so they're going to be coming back and providing. And that was one of the things I ran on the first time, of course, mental health, substance abuse, and identifying women that have a history of past sexual abuse. And so that's what this is for. So they're going to be coming in and working with those. So doing those programs just for Boyle County inmates, I think if we didn't house other counties or even the state, we could provide those resources more for our folks, so we make sure they're getting the care they need. So when they walk out the door, they're better than what they came in. And they're going out, and you know, and especially with the jobs, you know, there's a lot of open jobs in Boyle County. I don't know the last number, Judge. Do you know that? Last it was like 800. So I think there's some opportunities there to work with our workforce development and get those people so they can come out and thrive and not just survive. Sleep on somebody.
And I don't know if it's been mentioned or who's aware and who's not, but we did receive a letter from Attorney Dean that they are discontinuing the agreement to bring their prisoners
Yes, and that
To Boyle
takes
County.
effect end of June.
into June.
Which is fine.
So just want to make sure y'all were aware.
So they've decided to take them to basically 3 different counties.
Good on them. Moving on, as Phil would say on that one. And we can, you and I are scheduled to meet and talk and we can talk more about this, but when Public Works moves their salt barn, is that area back there pretty much floods? Is that a flooding area?
Not where the barn is, no.
We use
We
one
won't
end
be
of it.
moving the barn.
Oh, you're not gonna move. Okay, I thought you all were talking about putting a pole barn up over
Well,
the new
We'll be
place.
building a new one.
Right,
So, but that one will come down at some point, right?
right.
Well, we still use, but if we get their building, we can move all of our stuff there, which would be better for us. And then tear that down, but we'll need that.
Is there?
What were you thinking?
That's
That's a loaded question, I know.
He's looking to build a new pool.
Careful what you ask.
So one of the issues
New
that
pool?
Jailer had, one of the issues that Jailer, we're gonna put a beach over there.
Saltwater pool.
We have a beach right there. When the water gets high, we'll be good to go. Have the tire swing and everything. When the jail's 100% Boyle, one of the problems that Jailer has is, and this is what we're all gonna face, is that, the people go out and inmate work crews. It's hard to have, people that are from here go out and work on those crews because of
It's a safety security.
it's a safety security issue. Friends, family figure out where they're at, drop stuff off, then you get contraband issues into the jail and stuff like that. And I, it didn't sit in with me until, you talked about it, but nobody lives in your shoes but you. So, but if you're getting an influx of homeless, especially in the wintertime, and Steve and I can talk about this with Jailer possibly, but this would be an opportunity when we're starting to redo the jail. We almost have like a little temporary housing area over there, and then we could utilize the homeless people that are there to kind of go out and do some work, and then you get credits towards being able to stay in those places. That way they're not housed in the actual jail, but there's kind of like almost, we've seen little villages pop up where, whether it's veterans that have like little small tiny home villages or something like that. And it could be on one of those things too, where your people kind of help build some stuff out there.
That brings up another issue, is
There's always gonna be issues.
if you have somebody there, and let's say they're homeless and they're still in addiction, well, you
Yeah.
got inmates coming in and out for the outdoor rec, it's real easy to pass. So I'm for doing homeless, but I think we need to put up, there would have to be some fences, some barriers up, so there's not contact from the public for the guys that's out in the rec yard. Because, we've had them throwing stuff over into the indoor rec. All they do is put a little socket and a balloon, fill it with drugs, and they were throwing it into the indoor rec, and they would go out and get it. So these guys, they have 24/7 to think of ways to beat the system, and then usually we have to respond. Okay, we figure out this is going on. Okay, now how are we going to respond to it? So, but yeah, I think and most of them, homeless. Some of the homeless want to be homeless. They don't.
I understand that.
So, but I think that's something we could probably work with the Shepherd's House, who's already kind of tackling a lot of those issues for the county with what they're doing. But I think we could tie some things in and maybe do something like what you're talking about that's already set up for them.
Right. Because eventually, if we go down to a smaller jail, which is fingers crossed that we do, and we take care of only Boyle. At that point, you're going to have to start seeing, the need for less employees.
Yes, and I would like to do that just through attrition. So
Attrition,
when
I
they
understand that,
retire,
yeah.
or they leave to go somewhere else, we just don't fill those spots.
All right. Judge, would you be okay if Steve and Brian and I and possibly Barry got together and kind of talk more about this?
Yeah, I think it's a worthy conversation.
On this Boyle only thing, when do we notify the state that we're no longer accepting state inmates?
What I would have to do is I would have to get a letter from the fiscal court saying that they no longer, then I would have to write a letter, Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, saying that, hey, here's what's going on, and we no longer. Then I'd have to send that in to the Department of Corrections. And then, I have jails now that would come and pick up as many state inmates to get them out of our hair, today, because everybody wants state inmates, especially the C's and D's, the ones that go out and work, and the ones you can work in the facility, which, I barely have enough to do the kitchen, and I'm down to like 2 that could go out, and so we cut way back in the spring and summer. I'm not gonna be able to provide the services in the county that I have been, because I just don't have the inmates. It's not because we don't wanna do it, it's just we don't have them. So we would have to send a letter in and say, and then we'd also have to close our SAP program down. So we would need to notify Shepherd's House that that's, give them an end date so they can do something with their employees, and then maybe move those inmates in other facilities that do have a SAP program, so they can kind of pick up. Am I leaving anything out? Judge Harmon, you got far more
I think
experience.
there's only 2 jails that have the SAP program with the state.
There's more. There's 27 altogether, but I think us, Grant, most of them are going to the SOAR program, which I don't have the building's not designed for me to be able to do that program. And it's where they go out and work during the day, and then they come in in the evening, and so they'll work in factories. If you remember when the down in western Kentucky where the jail was destroyed, the candle factory, that's what the inmates that were in the candle factory were through the SOAR program. So, but I think once everybody's moved out, I think it gives us a lot of options on the side. Okay, how do we want our jail? What do we want to provide? What do we want it to look like? That kind of thing. So that'll give us some options. But so that's basically what it would take. We'd have to write a letter and say. Now we would still have CIs. So those are the ones getting sentenced in circuit court, and they technically are supposed to have 45 days to qualify them and see what level they're at, if they have to go behind a fence or stay in jail. But sometimes it takes 90. But I can write a letter saying, hey, I want all inmates or CIs 45 days. So I can do that, so I have some leeway in that.
Okay.
Start typing letter tonight.
All right, so you all get together and make us a plan.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Question, can you make the announcement? Are you at liberty to do that?
I'm gonna be a grandfather.
All right.
It's getting the gray hair already.
First one.
We're gonna have a little girl in end of July.
Oh, exciting.
The sad news is, though, she graduates May the 16th, and I think they're gonna be moving to Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
Oh, no.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll get some travel.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Jason, just let me know.
Congratulations.
So you want Stuart Powell now?
Yes, please. Ben Johnson.
Stuart Powell.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello, Miss Tripp, how are you?
Good, good.
Hello, it's warm in here.
Yeah.
It is a little warm in here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Surprised that Magistrate Ellis hasn't gotten hold of it yet.
Yeah.
Well, hear about you guys who can't take that cold.
Well, good, I won't take up
Thank you.
much of your time, but Tom had been talking with us about enterprise fleet, and from me personally, Mr. Powell spent 75 years in this community, and now myself and Patty continue on. Whether it be at the schools, the charity, the taxes, the payroll taxes, everywhere you look, we support where we can. And I feel like that relationship is worth more than someone coming in here with a fancy slideshow and saying we can save you money when they can. Fleet price is fleet price, no matter where you buy it from. You don't call an 800 number if you have a problem with us. You talk to me, we see each other at lunch, we see each other at church, in the grocery stores. I'm not an expert on opening leases, but Ben is. So I just want to say I was shocked because of the relationships that we have. And Ben's going to tell you how dumb those leases are.
Good segue.
So Fred put that a little strongly. So I watched on video, thanks to Tom's referral. I watched on video the last meeting where Enterprise came in with some big colorful slides with some scary lines going down and some cheerful lines going up, with no numbers attached to them because they're not real. What they're pitching to you is called an open-end lease, where at the end of the lease, there's no guaranteed value. They sell the vehicle at auction. And the way that they presented it to you when they were standing here was that, hey, the vehicle may sell for more at auction and you get to keep that money. What they didn't tell you was that the vehicle may sell for less. And they have made up this imaginary, optimistic number at the beginning of that lease. As you all know, during the course of 3 to 5 years, your dump trucks, your county vehicles are seeing heavy use. They are not in optimistic condition at the end of 3 to 5 years. They've seen real use. So at the end of that term, it's statistically improbable that those vehicles are going to see more than the forecasted value at auction. It's much more realistic that we would see a lower value at auction, and the county would be contractually obligated for an unexpected bill at the end of that term.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
We were only looking to lease normal vehicles, anything, dump trucks, large vehicles, ambulance and stuff like that, we're buying outright.
Good.
So
Very
those
good.
are
Yeah,
things
that's
that
good to hear.
we did talk about
Yeah.
and we had put a lot of thought into on this.
But the same depreciation on our police vehicles is profound.
Right. But those police vehicles that we service for
Sheriff's Office, excuse me for the clarification.
So those vehicles you all have seen from your experience and from your personal experience. Every one of you in here, I would imagine, is a vehicle owner. You all know that a vehicle typically lasts longer than 3 to 5 years. And you all know from your experience that the most expensive time of owning that vehicle is the first 3 to 5 years, when depreciation is the highest. Although, yes, it is true that there are incremental increases in maintenance costs as a vehicle ages, those maintenance costs nowhere near approach the steep depreciation curve in the beginning of ownership life. So what you all have found through your experience and your common sense in owning your personal vehicles holds true for the county. There's no magical difference just based on the county owning the vehicle rather than you personally owning a vehicle until you realize that it starts to have individual maintenance issues is the best way to go. And so we as a local dealer can provide the same fleet pricing as Enterprise, along with flexible ownership options, local service, including pickup and delivery, so you don't even have to arrange to bring those vehicles in for service, saving labor long-term for the county. So we're able to provide the best pricing, matching the pricing that you've seen, along with better service. And you know from your experience with us that we're going to do what's best for the county and each of you individually. So Fred provided, a lot of the background of.
One other thing I want to touch, that it's illegal for a dealer to offer an open-end lease. They are so bad and they cost consumers so much money that dealers are forbid by law to offer an open-end lease. We can't do it. But Enterprise as a fleet leasing company can.
Is there a website that describe that? I totally respect what you're saying, but to get that opinion or that kind of concern from an independent source, I think could help us.
We can send that, yeah.
Thank you.
It's
That's
great
critical.
regulations. If we offer open lease, we'd be out of business, gone.
So just to, I did the same thing with John when he was here earlier. The county started looking down this road. I mean, the city does it, and it's worked out really well for the city for several years. But the idea came from, as we're going through our budgets and as each department's telling us their vehicle needs for the year, the amount of money we're spending to purchase a vehicle in 1 year, if there was a way to kind of put that cost out over several years, that would be much easier because we don't have the ability in a lot of ways to gain more tax money. In fact, in some ways, we lose the ability, especially if city annexes areas or whatever. So the amount of tax money we receive gets less, but the expected services from those that we collect taxes from increases. And so we're trying to come up with a creative way of trying to not necessarily purchase all the vehicles up front, possibly have them where it's over the lifetime. And that's where we kind of came into the conversation with Enterprise. They were at one of our conferences that we were at. They're usually at the conferences, and that's where the conversation started. So if the county's spending anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 a year on buying 4 or 5 vehicles, but we could turn around and spend, a third of that on several vehicles, it actually ensures better safety for our sheriff's department who's in those vehicles, which to them probably seems like 24/7. They're getting newer vehicles. We're not asking them to just hold out because we don't have it in the budget or whatever. Same thing with some of the other vehicles that we have out there. So that's really the ask here is that we love working local. We love our community partners, and so we're just trying to figure out what solutions you all might have where we could come to some ability to make that hit on our budget a little less.
Yeah, and that's certainly an option. The financial end is certainly an avenue that you can explore. But I would also ask you to look at the bigger picture. What you said is 100% true in the first year, that you have smaller initial outlay. But it now means that you haven't completely paid for that vehicle yet. Now you have a tax burden, a responsibility for
Understood.
Continue to pay for those vehicles in future years. You have not in any way reduced the cost of the vehicle. You have kicked the football down the field and procrastinated the problem to next year. So,
but it helps us forecast for the next 4 years what we're going to be spending on vehicles.
It certainly does, but without reducing that cost. So we have tools that can certainly help you forecast, spread out that expense, that kind of thing. But I want to clarify, none of this reduces the cost of the vehicle. There's no magic marker that we can take that suddenly reduces that cost. If there were, we'd be all in favor of it. We want to make sure that the ideas that were presented to the court here a month ago are actually mathematically sound. So that's the goal here today, is just make sure that whatever the court decides is based in reality and not shiny charts.
Yeah, and we do have our own mechanic that's on.
Yeah, and that's fantastic as well.
Right, yeah, and I said the same thing to our other large dealership in the community when he was here earlier, that your points about you all as community, your community involvement and support has not gone lightly on this court. We definitely want to buy local and spend money locally, so that has been part of the conversation all along. So I want to assure you that we're not glossing over that as we're working through some of these decisions. It ultimately is what's the best use of our taxpayer dollars, as Magistrate Cullen was indicating there, and how we can get the most for our most value and bang for the taxpayers' dollars.
And I agree wholeheartedly. And no matter what the decision is, the support won't change. Don't take it that way. But there's cost, there's price, and there's value. And when you're looking at offsetting the cost over several years, like being alluded to, you're not saving money. So if there's a budgetary issue, then addressing that at the core to fix it long-term would be my suggestion. Now, if we need a short-term gap fill, we can do anything and beyond what Enterprise can do. The fleet price that says $10,000, and I do it all the time. When they call me and say, hey, I've got, the library wants to buy a vehicle, I say 500 over. That's below the fleet price. But we can also look at ways to help offset the cost. If you need 5 years to shore up some things and to make some changes, we can do that.
So are you all in favor of leasing, or are you all more in favor of just outright
It depends
purchase?
on the use of the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, see, like when you lease a vehicle traditionally, there's a residual value. And that residual value is what you are guaranteed to be able to purchase that vehicle for at the end of the lease. That's a closed-end lease. An open-end lease is where I can basically make up a number and say, I'm an expert, I think it's going to be worth $15,000 in 3 years. I sold it at auction, it only brought 8, give me 7,000. You have to, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's where I call it the smoke and mirrors, the shell game comes in with it, and that's why it's illegal for dealers, because there's unethical dealers. Not every dealer has the moral standards Mr. Powell, myself, and Patty have.
Right.
And so we're not greedy, money-hungry people. We are people who want to help the community in every area we can. So we'll help you talk about it. If we need to come again, we can sit down with you, tell us what you want, and we can show you what we can give you.
Okay. Reflecting on a comment that Magistrate Cullen made, traditionally I agree that we've not been in the big truck and industrial strength vehicles that our public works uses, but right now I don't want to rule out anything that's available out there to help us with that year-by-year cash flow to minimize the ups and downs and the crisis that can happen when somebody's abused a vehicle and we don't get what we thought we might get out of it at the end with the open end versus closed end.
That happens on both ends though. Whether you purchase a car or whether you lease the car, at the end of the day, the car is worth what the car is worth. And so we often will just surplus vehicles after 5 years, 4 or 5 years, because we've put them through so much. And so, you know, nobody knows what the car is going to be worth at the end of the lifetime, especially, you know, how many miles it has or whatever. So it's, you take the hit up front, you take the hit on the back end. Either way, you're taking a hit. So that's...
And it depends, like I said, on the personal use of the vehicle. There are several times a year, or even a month, someone will be in a lease, they come in and they'll say the buyout is 30 grand. The actual market value of the vehicle may be 36 or 37. Those people then buy that vehicle, come down here, get a license and registration and sell it back to us for 37 and make money.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do that if someone who's putting 300,000 miles on it in 3 years, don't get me wrong. But there is, it's not always a negative situation depending on the use of the vehicle. But it's not going to be a commercial vehicle or a vehicle that 24/7 for the sheriff's department or where have it. So it's a...
Yeah, very, very rarely do we ever turn around and get rid of the vehicle, and we've not looked to see how much we paid for that vehicle at the end of the vehicle's life to know, like, okay, was this a good purchase or was this a bad purchase? Because, you know, normally it's like, okay, we're going to surplus it, you know, for $2,300 or whatever, or we're just going to get rid of it, or we're going to give it to somebody else or whatever. So
I would highly suggest that you do a spreadsheet on like
cost analysis. Yeah, we have.
I call it TVV, total vehicle value.
Yep.
And the entire ever experience that goes into that vehicle, you log in that spreadsheet, and so at any time you can see what the value is. And what you spend on it.
Our financial.
Of your
Elena,
Finance officer.
Finance officer, thank you. She's actually done an excellent job starting to inventory our vehicles so we can really kind of see age, mileage, the useful life we're getting out of them. And that's really what this comes down to, is useful life.
Of your total business, whether it's individual lease, a fleet program of leases, and sales, what percentage is your lease versus sales of the total business?
7 to 10%.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Most months I would say it hovers more to the 7%. Yeah. But I don't want to take any more of your time unless you have questions. I just want to reiterate, we have a vested interest in this community. And it's not about the few $100s that will be made from leasing vehicles. It's about keeping that money in. If you lease a vehicle or buy a vehicle from us, there's a salesperson that's going to get a small stipend for doing it. That money then is reinvested back into the community. And we are not here saying enterprise is terrible. I'm saying open-end lease is terrible, 100%. Enterprise as a whole, I've worked with them for decades. You know, they're a very well-ran old machine, but they don't have the interest.
But they're not local.
Yeah, they don't have the interest in the community like we do.
Well, that brings up, you're bringing up another good question, because we often struggle with this as a court. You know, when we do buy a vehicle, we have to get bids. And a lot of times it's not just the two dealers in town bidding.
Yeah.
And so we've bought in several vehicles outside of Boyle County because basically the process is we have to go with the lowest bid.
Yeah.
So is that basically just an inventory thing? If you guys have a vehicle that's on there that's technically in their fleet pricing that's, but it's got more to it, is that why someone else might be a little bit lower? Or
No, what that
help us-
typically happens is you get a bid concessions from the state and the manufacturer. And if you're normally a 5-year term, and if you go in there, and the way they set those up is the first 2 or 3 years, it's a very big loss leader. But then on the 4th and 5th year, for their preferred vendor, then the price goes up, and their goal is to recoup that. But so let's say that you're a dealer and I'm a dealer, and this gentleman here wants an F-250. Well, fleet price on the F-250 is 60 grand. The actual net cost is 59. I say I'll sell it to you for 59.5. Well, then you as a dealer, the fleet cost is 60,000. The actual cost is 59,000. But you get a 2% override for being in the fleet preferred program. So now you have all of that margin plus the 2%. And it's just, it's a greed thing. We just don't do it. I mean, I sell them 500 over true, and that's all we can do.
How many employees do you all have?
60 now.
60. Well, on his point about again, we do prefer buying local,
Yeah,
and so
we try.
it's
it
lowest
hurts a lot of
and
times.
it's lowest and best price, and so sometimes we can opt for the best price because of the local factor.
Yeah.
It's usually when there's a large discrepancy that it just doesn't make sense. The large discrepancy outweighs the buying local.
Yeah.
So because otherwise we do prefer
I
buying
can't speak
local.
for every dealer in town, but there will never be a large discrepancy with us. It's true 500 over. There's no one.
And if ever you find a large discrepancy, please come to us to make sure that it's an apples-to-apples comparison.
And that's the key with the different models and the different complements.
Something
that
is
are in
missing if there's a discrepancy. The county gets a fleet concession price from Ford directly, from the manufacturer directly. The pricing should be equal anywhere.
Are we able to go back once we get bids or no? I mean, they're not technically sealed bids, right?
No, they're not sealed bids. What's happening is the staff is taking the state contract pricing, most likely. They're not even really bidding them out. They're going with state contract pricing, which is basically a guaranteed lowest price.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, the
That's
state
that-
contract.
that's what you're talking about,
And
state
before
contract,
before I joined Patty, I was the vice president of Paul Miller Motor Company, and we had the state contract there, and that's how it works. The first year, we lose $750,000, $1 million. By the 5th year, we're making $40 million. It's just the way it works. But I didn't approve of that. I think it was at that time us, Paul Miller, Dan Cummins, the Oxmoor Group, just the larger dealers, the people that are purely. I promise you, I never said in the meeting when we had a person's name, it was all dollars. Where's the dollar flow from? And I get it if that's where we need to go, but I would rather that than enterprise, to be honest with you. That's at least supporting someone in the state.
No. We're just trying to figure out how we work all this together.
Yeah.
And we can help you defer costs. Anything that you want, we will do our darndest to help you.
We have zero interest in interest though.
Yeah.
That's the big thing,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you so much.
Appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah.
Easy holler.
All right.
Thank you all.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
I do want to clarify one thing. I have reached out to Kate, and she said there are no mileage restrictions on the enterprise lease. I think the previous presenter said that we're restricted on mileage, and we are not.
We're not.
So that's something, I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, but the flip side of that
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
you're basically charged.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you had the information that there are no mileage that they have stated.
All right. IT Director, Bill Nichols, you're up.
This is twice in a row. I don't know if y'all gonna stand this or not.
Hmm.
Last time I was here, I came to you with a proposal from Civic Plus Optimize is what the program is called, which is our encrypted forms that we're going to be using for the ethics form and stuff like that. And I had asked them if we could get started with it to give us an invoice on that to show what it would be. And of course, they prorated up until July 1 and then the year after that. Well, when I told them no, they came back and said, well, how about if we just give you the year pricing, initial pricing, basically the pricing that you see, the $12,775 includes a $500 training part that goes with that. That's why the subsequent years after that fall down to, I think it's 11,000 and some change. So what I would like to ask a motion to do is I would like to ask the motion to go ahead and get started with this program. They'll allow me to sign this agreement. They have agreed to basically go back to the initial 1 year thing. That, I mean, we're going to pay the same now, not now, but we'll pay the same on July 1, whether we sign it today or whether we sign it on July 1. And the term will actually be from July 1 to June 30th. They're basically giving us this first 2 months for free. So I'd like a motion to, or your approval to go ahead and sign that contract and get started with it.
Okay, I have a motion by Magistrate Cullen, second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion on Civic Plus? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Do your thing, Bill.
Okay, go see if we're still in the air.
All right, next is County Road Aid Agreement and Resolution. This is for our County Road Aid money that we are set to receive for fiscal year beginning July 1 in the amount of $855,793.95. A motion to approve.
Make motion.
Motion by Magistrate Cullen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion? And we are approving the agreement and the resolution together.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, before we get into fleet discussion, Jack Hendricks emailed me yesterday, and we had applied for County Veterans Hall of Fame signs, and they have arrived. So he wanted to come today and present those signs, if you wouldn't mind, Master Sleeper, to...
Okay, I'm up.
Wake 'em up.
Hey, have a good one.
Another one.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good, good. How are you? I can't complain. Wasn't doing all good. I'm getting too old to be packing this kind of stuff around. Thank you, Judge, for letting me come up and bring these.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
They're awful nice, and Howard wanted to come up, but he's having surgery today.
Okay.
Some serious stuff, I think, concerning the heart, but anyway, he wanted me to bring these up and show them to you.
All right. Nice. Very nice. Yes.
So they're
That is.
pretty doggone nice. Now, if we can get, y'all can get the road department or somebody to put them up.
We know a guy.
Good luck with that.
And we
Hey.
purchased a total of 4 of those.
We got 4, there's
Yes.
3 in here that I brought today. I'd like to keep one of them because we're having a,
Yes.
Hall of Fame alumni meeting Friday. And every county will be presented. There's only about 26 counties that have done this. And there's probably only 40 counties that have veterans that have been inducted.
Now, I thought the names were gonna be on there.
It was difficult to get that on there, and they didn't
Oh.
think you could read it anyway.
Okay.
And really, to be honest, we didn't really want that type of thing. I mean,
Okay.
it's an honor to have that sign up and know that Boyle County supports our veterans like you do, and this court always has. But it would have been so small you couldn't have been able to read it.
So the 2 veterans that we thought were gonna be on there, one was Jack, and then Gerald Hunt was the other one. So those are the 2.
Now, we got one this year. He's not from Boyle, but he's from Lincoln that we recommended, and he has been accepted. Is Lynn Young.
Okay.
From Lincoln County.
Okay.
But his big thing, he's a Vietnam vet, tank commander over there, had some tough times, but for the last 20 years he's commanded American Legion Post 18 over there. He's a member of our VFW post here in Danville. And he has also commanded our honor guard. Anytime you see our Post 18 honor guard, he's a commander, and he's been the average is 120 to 150 military funerals a year.
plus a lot of other things like presentation of colors at special events and that sort of thing. So there's so many things that he has done in that particular role that we felt like he definitely, so he was accepted out of, we have 25 being inducted in September this year.
Very good.
And he's one of them. We already have one here from Boyle County. We'd like to get one every year from Boyle County. So this year we have one from Boyle County. I don't want to mention his name yet, but he don't know anything about it.
Okay.
We're getting ready to write up the nominations and everything. We have till like September to do that for next year.
Jack, will you say why people get nominated and what? Talk a little more about the Hall of Fame.
The biggest thing about it is, first of all, naturally, you have to be an honorably discharged veteran. It doesn't make any difference what rank you were. It doesn't make any difference what you did in the service. We had that, when I got inducted, we had Medal of Honor recipients there. We had Silver Star recipients. And for those of you who don't know, those are two of the highest awards you can get in the military. Everybody, but that is not what they're there for. It's what they've done after they got out of service, what they've done in civilian life since then. And you really have to come up with a pretty doggone good resume for what you've done to prove that, hey, you've earned this honor to be there. So if a person like Lynn, for instance, that has done this 120 to 150, take that over 20 years, that's an awful lot of funerals.
Yeah.
And our honor guard, I'm part of it and proud of it, and we do it right. Everybody's got the same uniforms, everybody's dressed appropriately. All the honors are done by the book. So Lynn has organized that over the years. That's just some of his accomplishments. He's done a lot more in Lincoln County. So we're hoping the Lincoln County Court, once this all he gets inducted September the 5th, then we're hoping Lincoln County Court will do the same thing as you all have done, because that technically Lincoln County will have its first one. He'll be the first one. And then of course we have Sharon Martin, who's in Lincoln County. All of you know her. She's an honorary, and there's only like 10 honoraries in the whole state. So. And everything they do during the year is promoting veterans and trying to do what they can to bring to the forefront those type things. So the ceremony is, Steve can tell you, it's pretty elaborate.
Yeah.
And it's very, very impressive to watch all the planning that goes into it. And there's usually takes about 100 volunteers to put on the induction and that sort of thing.
I guess me cold chills just sitting here, Jack,
Hey,
listening to you tell that.
Everybody is welcome to come, especially on Saturday. Friday night we have what they call the gala dinner, but I would recommend spending $75 for a meal. Come up there for that. It's an elaborate thing, but I'll be honest with you, I'd rather go to Cattleman's. I won't go any further, but anyway.
Don't take that off the
Yeah, but the setup, the embassy suites, Fayette County especially, I mean, they really roll out the carpet for the Hall of Fame inductees and for the presentation. The mayor always comes, and she's a veteran herself, plus her husband is a retired Major General, so she knows about vets. So it's a major presentation, and it's quite an honor to be involved with it. So.
Jack, thank you for bringing the signs. Thank you for your service, and thank you what you continue to do to help veterans in our communities.
We keep trying. We keep trying. Now, I will tell you, if you haven't heard, just so you know, we don't know for sure yet if it was vandalism or if it was wind. But one of our eagles, you may have noticed on the memorial, is missing right now. It's out at the road department. They're working on it. It got fixed. A gentleman from over Junction City who it's cast aluminum, so it takes a special welder to do that. So he came over to the road department. Tim Webb got it done. And Roger and the rest of them are all working with it too to get it back up. It got pulled off of the post somehow. And Tim and I think everybody thinks it's probably the wind that just kept rocking it. We had so much wind out
For
there.
so long.
And I'm hoping that's all it was.
Yeah.
But I've asked Danville PD to do some drive-throughs. They're doing some extra patrols in there at night, just in case. I'm hoping the wind is the thing. I would hope nobody out there would vandalize that. So.
Do you have any cameras on the memorial?
No, we got a fake, but
Okay.
it's worked for some time. I have talked to Earl down at the city. They have, as you well know, over in the park, there's a lot of cameras, and they got Wi-Fi. And he thinks they might be able to get the Wi-Fi to work that far down from where the system is. So he's going to look into that and see if we could get a camera down there just to help out to make sure. There's 1,685 names on there now from Boyle County, just so you know. When we get 1,700, that will be something to be proud of, because nobody, when we started this program back in '01, nobody ever dreamed we'd do that. We thought that one little wall would be plenty, and as you know, it's 6 walls now. So.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
But thank you all very much for doing this. I know General Hunt brought that up, and naturally, you guys, like always, this court always does everything on earth for veterans when you can.
Yes.
So he wanted me to bring this up too. That's the invoice.
Okay.
But he thought you might need that for your records.
Yes, all right. Thank you.
So anyway,
and we hope everything goes well with his surgery today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And just hopefully, like I say, there's 3 here. I want to bring the other one back up Friday. I'll bring it back up to the office after the meeting in Lexington, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, I got one suggestion, and this is purely a suggestion. Y'all have probably already decided where you want to put them. You put them on the entrances most times to the city or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it'd be awful nice to have one of them at Constitution Square. Down by the double flagpoles, we got the new ones. I mean, that to me is just a logical place, and so many people come there that I just think that'd be a good place as a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. But wherever you want to put them,
Thank
we're
you.
proud of them. We're proud that you're supporting our veterans, as you always have, everybody on this court has. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Jack.
Joe, thank
Appreciate
you.
you being
Need
here.
to say, if you need
Jack.
anything, all you gotta do is holler. I'm available.
Judge, I don't know if we can do this or not. I'll ask you, but you know, our country lost a Kentucky veteran at the beginning of the month. He was, I think, was the oldest Pearl Harbor survivor. Vaughn Drake was his name. Vaughn P. Drake Jr. was his name.
106, I think.
106. They say he was the oldest, and they think he might have been the only. He was born in Winchester, Kentucky.
Okay.
So not too far from here, but I don't know if we're closing in memory of anybody, but if we could add that.
I think to adjourn in his memory would be great.
Yeah.
A lot of those folks around, so.
Right. Yeah.
And they, well, not a lot of those anymore. They're, you know,
Yeah.
we're getting down to like last year at our dinner, we only had like 6 World War II veterans left.
Yeah. And he was not only Pearl Harbor, but Saipan as well. So, saw both of those. So.
Okay, we will gladly do that.
Anytime, anything y'all ever need, all you gotta do is ask, you know that.
Thank you, Jack.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
sir.
very much. Okay, that's an honor. All right, fleet discussion. So this was put on the agenda. If you all want to have any discussion at all after you've heard the 2 dealerships this morning, if you want to lean one way or the other, or just throw out your thoughts, or decide a direction that we want to go. So this is your time.
My whole bias is local, and we've learned a lot from both Bob Allen and Stuart Powell. More learned minds than mine, our finance committee, and with Magistrate Cullen's experience with all sorts of finance, I can't begin to fathom with the different brands of vehicles and the different components that we put on vehicles, how you compare apples and apples. So I think there's just going to have to be some consideration of how you put it together. I suppose we should still consider the fleet outfit that came in, but my total bias is to stay within the community.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of like some more time to think about it, maybe
Mhm.
discuss it with,
Okay.
both dealerships to see which, I think today was good for them to come in to kind of see where our heads was.
Mhm.
And maybe they can go back and figure out what they can do. I
think
mean,
that-
I agree with Tom, we want to try to keep it local, but if you look at a lot of the people we've purchased from, we haven't bought local a lot over the
Yeah.
last several years.
Yeah.
So, because we're kind of at the mercy of what the bid comes
State
in at.
contract.
So and we do appreciate everything they do for the community, and I think the community, supports them as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I just would like some more time to look at it, to
Okay.
discuss it.
Sure.
I mean, it's not just slideshows. Enterprise came in with some real numbers. And they shot it straight. It's, you're gonna have, it's basically a contract. This is what we expect you to save over the life of this contract. It's not year over year. Some years, they even said, some years are gonna be good, some years are gonna be not so good. Given the history and the average, and then they'll have a person that constantly is looking over our fleet to say, this is how many miles are being reported. We think it's time to, and this is what we just got at auction. We think it's time to maybe bring that vehicle in and put you in something different, so.
Yeah, and I agree with those comments, that I think we need to spend a little more time with it. I appreciate them coming in today. I would like to see us communicate with them as far as what our fleet needs are, and let them share with us what they can do and how they can work with us within our needs.
Our needs and our budget?
Our needs and our budget, well, yeah, and our both, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Measure voter?
Until they have the specifics of what vehicles we
Mhm.
have and what,
Yeah.
I don't see how we can make a decision.
Right.
What do you mean?
The specifics of how many vehicles we have and how old they are
I
and
have
what
that.
would be.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I have it.
Yes,
We
I
have
know,
it.
until they have it and
Oh,
can
you're
talk
talking-
to us
The
about
dealers.
the
Stuart
dealers.
Powell and Bob Allen.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have 12 that have over 100,000 miles in our fleet right now, and we have 2 that are in the 90s. So that kind of gives you an idea.
Yeah.
I could break it out by department if that helps you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
we're saying the same thing.
Get that to them.
We need to get that to Bob
That
Allen
information
and
Bob
to
Allen,
Stuart
yeah.
Powell,
Together.
and let them say, this is what we can
Okay.
do
Yeah.
for you.
That way it's a level playing field
Yes.
amongst
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll get that today. over to
It'd
them.
be nice to.
As close as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, this is too much work, but it'd be great to see at some point, what we're paying in repairs for those vehicles that we're holding on to that are more than 3 years old.
Elena can get that.
Only if it's easy. I don't want this to be like, I mean, y'all have too much going on already, but I mean, it would be kind of, that helps us make these decisions, because not only are we paying something up, a lot up front, but now here we are, year 4 or 5, and we're spending a lot of money, even with our own in-house mechanic.
And I've asked her on the financial reports, on the bills package, to put what vehicle, like when they have a repair or they have an oil change or
Yeah.
whatever, to put the vehicle that's.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, doing that, so that way, it's easier to go back and look and scan down through there and say, oh, well, there's, SO 10, 10, 10, and EMS, whatever, so she should be able to get that information pretty
All right.
quickly, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it is important, like Paul and Jamie said, that they have the same information.
I can probably answer that question right now. I mean, I know exactly what Tommy works on.
Don't mind.
Once you hit 100,000 miles on it, excuse me, the maintenance jumps way up.
Oh, yeah.
We got a 2020 Tahoe that we bought in 2020. It's got 130,000 on it probably now, and it's been in the shop several times the last 3 or 4 months. So the sheriff's office, it's mainly brakes and rotors, and then oil changes. So
Fuel pumps.
Yeah, each vehicle have their specific problem that typically they have amongst the fleet. So
the vehicles generally too that I know Enterprise had talked about, it's usually the same type of vehicles. They don't they don't, kind of what we're doing a lot of times when we're chasing bids or whatever, we may end up with 3 Fords, 2 Rams or whatever.
Yeah.
This is generally, it's all kind of the same thing, so it helps
Same.
with parts as well and
Yeah.
and other things.
Okay, well, we'll get the information to the dealers that were here, and then we'll get together and have more discussion and find out which way the court wants to go. Thank you. All right, Miss Julie?
Okay, we have some bids here for painting, mainly in the recycling area, hanging some of that plastic curtain stuff. So the lowest bid, we got 5 bids. It was advertised and everything, all the policies were followed, is Tommy Little Painting at $13,000. And the bids range from $13,000 to $108,000 for the same work.
That
So,
was large.
yeah.
That was a large difference.
So Mark's recommendation is Tommy Little, somebody we've not worked with before, and he'd like to give them a shot. So his recommendation is Tommy Little Painting at $13,000.
Okay. Who recommended that?
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, he's
okay.
doing a walkthrough on the roofing, so he
Okay.
couldn't be here.
So I guess the only thing is I'm a little concerned that his is so far below
He said
everybody else.
Yes, he explained that to Mark, and it had to do with procurement of paint, I believe, how he gets his paint. So Mark felt like it was worth giving him a shot. It's kind of a small job, so,
It's a small job?
yeah, it's not a real big job. Yeah.
Roger, will be painting the recycling, that the
It is-
building
It
you're
is.
talking about?
I
Okay.
got it here. It is for painting the production area, 120 by 150.
Okay. I got
Paint
you.
metal walls and ceiling, labor, and hang that plastic curtain.
And this one's insured, and we have references. I was looking back to see.
I'm looking for it too.
Yeah, I can't find them.
He had
It's got a 1-year warranty, it's like a little 1-pager.
I don't know how much of it was he's gonna paint.
Circle, I'm looking through the bids here.
It's right in between Patrick Cooper and, we got,
Before Patrick Cooper?
yeah, it's before Patrick Cooper.
Before Patrick Cooper. Oh, here it is, okay.
And you blink, you almost say, 'cause it's.
It says Circle R Construction as the contractor.
Okay.
Yeah, Circle R Construction, and then on the back is the bid, recycling production area.
There it is, yeah.
They will supply all the materials needed for cleaning, prep, paint, interior walls and ceilings. 1-year warranty on the products and services, fully insured, associated with the Better Business Bureau and Building Industry Association.
Which one are you talking about?
Tommy Little.
You say Circle what?
It's Circle R Construction.
No, Circle R is different.
But it's on the last page.
But it's on the back of that.
Oh, I'm looking on the digital, sorry.
Yeah, on the
But he's
back.
not associated with Circle R.
No,
Okay.
it's on the back, I'm sorry. It's on the back of Circle R.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, yeah, I guess if Mark's okay with it, it's kind of like.
What's the warranty?
He could be hating life by the time he gets done. Tommy could be, but that's his problem.
Exactly.
I'll say one thing, I've painted professionally for 5 years, and I've never had a customer complain. One house I painted the exterior and did everything. 22 years later, they tore the house down, and the paint was perfect.
Well, where's your bid?
Got out of it. It's hard labor.
Yeah.
But I do know when somebody's pricing way down below everybody else, something ain't happening. Something ain't happening.
Did we have any references from him?
You wanna
That's
paint
what I
it
asked
again
for.
in 2
I didn't
years?
see any.
I didn't see anything besides that little blurb.
Yeah, I didn't see any references.
It just says, fully insured, 1-year warranty.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
I mean, if he gives a 1-year warranty, if he paints it and something happens in 1 year, then we've got that to fall back on.
Most paints will stick for a year.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Even if the surface is a little dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're in no hurry because we can't
Yeah.
do anything till we get the roof done. Why don't we put this off until Mark comes?
I was gonna say, can we get Mark in here?
because
And
I'm
let's check
just-
some references
I'm
on
just
this
the
guy.
messenger here.
Right.
Let's check some references
Yeah.
on this guy, or
I
get
feel
him
better
to give us
doing
some
that.
references.
Yeah, well, I don't see any references on Circle R either, unless you all,
Well, that was part of the bid.
The key
But
to a
circle
good
R.
paint job is having the proper procedures. It's no better than what you prep the surface for. Your paint job will end up crap if it's not cleaned proper and filled in proper.
And
Believe
if you
me.
paint on a high humidity day, you
Yeah.
have a serious, literally paint can come down off a wall on a very high humidity day.
Circle
Yeah.
R's, they have
They're the higher to bid.
references on there. It's just,
But there's,
they're the ones that have Bowling Green Police Department, FlexCon.
They're the one that seems ridiculously high.
Yes.
though, too. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
This guy's 10% of what they
seems
are.
like, yeah.
That's all I was trying to figure out if it was all like,
okay, I thought that was Abbott.
Abbott has references, I believe, as well.
That's, yeah, what you're saying, the Bowling Green Fleet, I thought that was Abbott.
Oh,
I got you.
Ah,
Well, anyway, let's.
It's hard to tell when they're all together like this.
Yeah.
Who's who.
I like seeing some references.
I don't like front and back.
On
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mark
Okay,
wants to use
so we're
it.
gonna just postpone this until we can get Mark in here
Yeah.
and
Yeah, let's
let
do
him
that.
Let him
give us
get
a little
some.
more information.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, we're up to magistrate reports and magistrate sleeper. We will let you start today.
All right. The Constitution Literacy Bell celebration was held April 1st.
Yeah.
Judge Bottom gave some wonderful remarks there, and then Magistrate Mulder and I both attended representing the county and fiscal court. And there were approximately 40 children that were recognized for reading their first book.
Yes.
And they were able to ring the bell on the schoolhouse, so it was really cool
Yeah,
ceremony.
it was a neat event.
Yeah, April 14th met with the Homeless Coalition, and we do have representatives coming from the Homeless Coalition here at our May 27th fiscal court, and they're going to be making a presentation on a very exciting development that would benefit our community in its efforts to address the needs of the unhoused. And Magistrate Cullen's comments, I can't tell you anymore at this point until some other things come into place, but I think it'll be a very exciting announcement. April 16th, attended the virtual training regarding updates on the last legislative session, as well as some of the other fiscal court. On April 17th, our Animal Control Committee, the County Administrator, Julie, and Judge Executive Trilly met with our Shelter Director and Community Outreach Coordinator to work on a community cat program and a barn cat program. And it was a productive meeting with some substantial work from Director Deldridge and Coordinator Beckman, so there'll be more to come on that as well. EDA met yesterday, discussions regarding a preliminary EDA budget, management of newly acquired EDA properties, master plan for the Reading property, and an update on the road project for the Norfolk Southern property were all discussed. So, and I'd like to conclude with one, I'll brag on my grandson, Max Cook, 15-year-old cadet airman first class with the Civil Air Patrol. He graduated from a cybersecurity program that the Civil Air Patrol puts on, and I'm still learning how to spell cybersecurity.
That's awesome.
I'm really proud of him for doing that. You know, we have so much cybersecurity happening today, so it's good to see the Civil Air Patrol has a program like that.
That is awesome. That is awesome. All right, thank you, Magistrate Sleeper. Magistrate Ellis,
Thank you, Judge.
before you begin, I would just
I
like
know what you're
you
gonna
all
say.
to know that Magistrate Ellis was recognized Saturday night at the Donkey Basketball in Forkland as the natural waste
Pooper
custodian.
Or you wrote organic.
Organic waste custodian.
That's known as the pooper scooper?
Yes, also known as the pooper scooper.
It was only because I needed fertilizer for my garden.
And he did a great job.
Well, I'll start with that. It was a fabulous event. Those of you who've been out to that gym, it was packed. We even had chairs all the way around the gym as well. The teams had a great tournament. I think the percentage of shots made versus taken was something like .021, because just getting those donkeys to move in the right direction is something I didn't want to try. My almost cousin Matthew Ellis, when he recruited me, said, "Now I'm not recruiting an old guy like you to ride one of those." And seeing so many body slams when the donkeys would invite their rider to leave, I'm mighty glad that I didn't try to drive rather than clean up after the messes. But it was a great event. And when we have another one, and it's been about 15 years since there's been one, y'all come. It was great. T-Mobile has their new tower up and running in Perryville, so folks in the area start looking. And if you remember, when they made their presentation, they're going to triangulate with a couple more towers. Boy, the wisdom of going over the top versus going through forests and not very deep in the ground before you hit limestone, I think they're going to move very, very quickly and be an option expedited compared to others that have been working now for the past 4 years in the county. So we'll stay tuned on that. I don't know how many phone calls I made all over western Boyle County during the flooding, because my terror every time that happens is that the community center out there will get 20 to 30 inches of storm water again. But amazingly, where I live on Perryville Road, we had 3 times the water that they did right around the community center. And thank goodness, no injuries that I'm aware of in my district, or even in the county for that matter.
Thankfully, yes.
Potholes, thanks to our public works folks, are being worked on. And one of the best things that I think we can offer to public works is either the neighbor who calls you can just go right out front and take a picture and send it to you, and then you get it to Roger. Or if you have to be in the area, take those pictures yourself, because that helps them to locate it. And if they're if they're under 2 inches, don't bother.
Well, I mean, it's something around 2 inches you can kind of deal with a little bit. Not saying it's going to stay, but you can put it in there, and you know. But anything less than that, you know, I mean, it's just a waste of even putting anything in it. You know, we have had a few since and after the snow that's been 4 or 5 inches deep, and you know, gotten a lot bigger. But you know, those will stay pretty easy. But,
well, we appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
The Crawford House, to me, is probably one of the top 5 historic Civil War battle places in the entire Commonwealth. I only wish everybody had been out there when the raccoons had done more to those floors than the donkeys did in Portland this weekend compared to what it is now. If you happen to be driving out 68, enjoying the spring splendor, or just want to make a special trip out there, if there are vehicles in the area that are working on the Crawford House, those guys are great. I've dropped in many times. They'll take 5 minutes and show you what they're doing for Dr. Ted Steinbach to bring that back to a tremendous place. And right now, we're in conversations with him. He would like to do some kind of open house or something in June or July. And so I can't give you a date yet, but he'd like to have that open so that people can see what's going on with the restoration of that very important place. I'll close with my conversations from last meeting about the black vultures. I was thrilled that in talking to the reporter with the Advocate Messenger, from the first time I talked to her to within 36 hours, and then I dropped by to see her, she's done tremendous research on the impact of black vultures. There were things I discovered that I didn't put in what I wrote to her, but she discovered them herself. There are pictures that I've gotten from farmers in the area, and I almost have reservations, but they've given permission for those pictures to be in the newspaper. They're rough, they're more than rough. What happens to the calf and even what can happen to the cow and possibly kill them both. These are a distinct bird that has come from South America, and someone in an ivory tower in Washington, D.C. decided that we needed to protect them. I'm only assuming on the concept of, well, they clean up the animals along the road and disease does not spread as quickly. Folks, cats and dogs, 2nd Street and Clark's Run is in the city limits, and there is a big roost now within Danville city limits of black vultures, and they do eat anything that's crawling along on the ground. So it's an urgent situation. I'm thrilled that the reporter is going to interview Spencer Quinn, who we've had in here talking about ag business in the Commonwealth. He's the current Farm Bureau president for the county, and Danny Lay, who we all know, taught 33 years in ag and is a cattle farmer himself. And they were both enthusiastic about talking with her. So it's something that needs to be addressed, sadly, in Washington. But in my appeal to the reporter, I'm hoping that she's going to talk about the fact that the General Assembly in Frankfurt come January could literally have a House-Senate joint resolution. Doesn't carry the power of law, doesn't remove a federal resolution or act, but at least it's influence that we're going to try to send up there. It's a tremendous problem from Oklahoma, Texas, all the way to the southern part of eastern United States, and something has to be done about it.
Tom, I read something where...
You can, and it's an extremely bureaucratic process. I looked into that too. They're just trying so hard to protect this killer bird that can take down easily, Judge, you're a cattle farmer, $1,000 cow.
We've lost calves to them.
It's just something that has to be addressed. Thank you, Judge, that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dillis. Mr. Bodner?
Yes, I met with Oral Coffee and Lee Compton. I just wanted to know about the ARPA funds, that $3.1 million that we had given them for the pump house improvements and all those improvements to Junction Pier. I was more interested in, of course, Junction City. And he told me that, of course, all the work that has to go through, all the permits, all the things you have to go through takes so much time. And they've had the engineer report is done, and they're in the design phase, and hopefully you'll have construction starting early in the summer. And they, from that money, they have $250,000 that has drawn interest during that time. So that should help offset some of the increased costs because of the time it takes to get to that point. But I just kind of wanted some update on that. I also went to the legislative review with the magistrates, Ellis and Sleeper, and let's see, mentioned to Earl that we're going to get $300 paid from the railroad tracks out to Yates Lane, and to make sure there's one spot that has some water leaks, make sure that leak is taken care of before we pay. Make sure it's been taken care of. I just want to make sure it's not going to be a problem after we get our nice pavement done. Let's see, I reported to the Kentucky Avenue has potholes, but it's from where there was a water issue. So the Marshall Carrier had somebody go out there, and he said that was fixed. I haven't walked out to see it, but he said it's fixed. reported to the state, there's, Parksville Knob has some potholes, they're not that big, but people veer out the traffic and it's a traffic concern. That hasn't been fixed yet that I know of. Let's see, and also I reported to the state about Ghost Pike. They say it's like 7-second light change. And so they're gonna send that information to Lexington, to their engineer, to see if that could be prolonged a little bit or if there's a reason why it's 7 seconds, and he's gonna report back.
On which end of Ghost Pike?
It's on the bypass, the light there at the 150 and Ghost Pike. Just right, I don't know, the end towards where the little company is. What is the
little company?
Yeah, I can't say northeast, south, west. I do not know that.
Little
So,
oil company, yeah.
The little oil company, that end.
Okay.
So they say it lasts about 7 seconds. So the 150 bypass, of course, would be longer, obviously. But 7 seconds, I went through it 2 or 3 times, and it is 7 seconds, you know. So it goes really fast.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just asked them, I had a constituent email me about that, so. So I haven't received a report back. We had, the Boyle County Library came in and did board games last night, and John and I, tied. So in Scrabble, my sister and John and I played Scrabble. It was so much fun. And we didn't have a big turnout, I think because everybody is Easter egg hunted out. And so we didn't have a big turnout, but it was lots of fun, and I really appreciate, the Boyle County Library has got a drop-off pickup at Farmers National Bank for us now. They've got the bookmobile, which has always been there. They're there. And Maggie McAdams is doing another harvest, a history harvest, at our next meeting for Junction City Matters.
When is that?
May the 5th. And then we're continuing to do the board games. Christina Farrell's helping set that up. And they have been so receptive to coming into my area that I just am just thrilled with what we're seeing done. Let's see. The egg hunt at Junction City Park, we had over 300 people there. They didn't go in the dark because it was definitely not dark enough, but those kids had a blast. We had a little train that Freddie Greene let us use, you know, and we went around the track and the kids absolutely loved that. The Easter Bunny showed up and gave me a hug even. And the kids really enjoyed it, even though it was a little damp. We were a little concerned. We thought nobody would come out in this, but had a ball. And that's how it's so important that we keep that as a park. And we need to get across to the school board that that park's been there 40 years. And that's what they wanted it to be with us, with the city of Junction. And we want to continue that being a school park, because every day the kids come out on a pretty day, even on not so pretty days, and they play in that park. It's a health benefit. And so I've talked with U.S. Congressman Comer, and he's, agrees that it sounds like it's a, great place for a park and all that, and he's willing to talk to people, but I don't know what we can do to help keep getting it. Let us take this park and let us make improvements. It's a safety issue right now, and we can't make any improvements. We were advised that from the school board, not all of them, but some of them say that get a BG1 for this. If you get a BG1, sometimes it takes 4 years for a BG1. And if you do one thing, you're gonna have to get a BG1. Even though for the last 40 years, we've made improvements whenever we needed to. Not we, but the city of Junction City, which I'm proud to be a part of helping them. It's in my district. So anyway, that's that. And let's see, really happy to have gone to the Parks and Rec Board, because I do think the time is probably really hard for some people to get to that. But it was real interesting to see how that worked. I hadn't been there before. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Magistrate Bowman. You've been very busy.
Very busy.
Magistrate Harmon.
Glad I'm in District 3. Those people, they take care of everything. Might not consider moving. I have nothing.
All right. Thank you. Magistrate Cullen.
Busy weekend in Boyle County. They're starting off with the small town summer kickoff, which is going to be, it's the, farmers market starts up, and then we've got a Earth Day celebration there that same day. Sidewalk sales downtown. There's going to be even the crawfish boil over at Morley's that day. So you got that over there. Over in Paula's district, you've got their Junction City Block Party.
Yeah.
It's happening that night. She's busy. She has a lot going on. So it's
Lot
hard
going on.
trying to keep up with all of that. So this weekend seems to be a fun weekend to be in Boyle County.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
And
I think it seems supposed to be pretty Saturday.
yeah, it's looking
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
anyway.
weather.
And then last meeting, passion got the best of me, and so got a little loud with one of my favorite people, our county administrator, Julie. Huh? And so I'm extremely sorry, Julie, that we've talked it out, we've hugged it out, and we're both very passionate about this county, and so sorry about that, and sorry to you, Judge, for being ornery when you're not here. Just shows you can't be here, can't not be here. So, anyway.
Tom,
So I
they
just
have
wanted
forbade me to be away again.
So.
All right, thank you,
That's all.
Mr. Cullen. We
Yep.
appreciate that and accept your apology. Thank you. Measure Gay.
The Finance Committee met yesterday with Treasurer Greene and myself and Magistrate Cullen, and she basically informed us that, as she did earlier, that the third quarter report has been filed ahead of schedule. We talked about the monthly settlement for March and the changes that were approved earlier to that list and report moving forward, and the shifts that have occurred within that report. We talked about the fact that budget prep is on schedule and moving along nicely, and again, thanks to our new treasurer and department heads and all of us for attending those meetings and being involved in the process. And then one of the last steps in that process is May 6th, I believe, for the appropriation. So make sure you all have that on your calendars.
For sure.
I did send calendar invites for
Right.
that on the 20th.
Yeah, so May 6th, we're doing the appropriations. And then in May, obviously, we will get to that, getting the budget in full effect, not effect, but in place to be sent to the state for their blessing, and then come back and off we go. So we're winding that process down. So I'll make a motion to approve that Finance Committee.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion by Measure Gay, second by Measure Cullen. Any questions about the report? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Master Gay.
Oh, can I make one comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Congressman Comer did not say those exact words I said. I kind of said, but he appeared to approve of where that park was and that it sounded good. But it made it sound like he said those exact words. He did not say those
Okay,
exact
all
words.
right. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, Attorney Herring.
Yes, I hope everybody had a happy Easter. It was nice celebrating my family. I want to just warn people in Danville, if you have an insurance loss, do your research. You have a contractor that comes out to you, before you sign your insurance check away. There's some people out there who'll take your money, then you won't hear from them for a long time. You try to call them. When are you going to start the work? You don't hear from them. Seeing some of that locally.
Yes.
So be careful with that. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Miss Julie?
Okay, I have quite the list. Buster Pike Bridge, we are continue to work on trying to get the easements. Magistrate Cullen, bless his heart, worked on Saturday, practically all day on trying to get one of those easements. So we've only received one, and we can't go to bid until we have all three. So I believe there's some meetings to take place to try to clarify some things, and so it's in progress. Just par for the course of that project, I think. EDA road easement over on the Frank King property. I talked to Josh last Thursday, and they're pretty close to getting us the description so we can deed that road over. I don't know if they talked about that yesterday.
Yes, we did in EDA.
Yeah, so that's good. I've reached out to Kendall Wise last week and then again this morning about him possibly designing the road on Old Stanford Road once we get that strip deeded over from the city. And thank you, Chris, county attorney here, for getting that deed together, and we'll wait on the city to approve it, I guess, and then we can accept that piece of property.
I prepared it, and I sent it over to Steve and Dexter to approve it or suggest some changes.
Looking at a couple grants. One is the 250th celebration. There's a $10,000 grant in Frankfurt due June 1st. Somebody sent me a Norfolk Southern Safety Grant, so that's due in September. We'll hoping to kind of start looking for things for the public safety building, looking at some federal programs for the public safety building. Unfortunately, we had 2 cats that were shot in the city limits with pellet guns, and that is a crime, to shoot cats. And so LEX 18 was down yesterday, and so if you see that, be aware. It was in, I believe it was your district.
Probably so.
Yeah, over behind Aldi's. Is that your district? I believe it is. Yeah, so kind of sad that that's taken place.
It shows it's a problem. I mean, that, you know, that's so sad that anybody would feel they had to go to that length, or, you know, that's just awful.
And the final thing is I've started working on, Judge and I've talked about this, I've talked about it, a punch list of everything that we have on our plate and our table, so we're going to create some kind of board so we don't lose track of some tasks. So we've started that process. So that's all I have.
Do you want to mention the inmate program with the window glazing at Constitution?
Yes. Chad Greene and I met, and he is a certified restoration specialist for wood windows and doors and things, and he has agreed to, with the purchase of some equipment and supplies, to take a window at a time out of the cabins and teach the inmates how to do that preservation work. You'll probably see a window go and some plywood maybe up at a sign. We'll have a sign made that says, you know, this is a partnership with the detention center. It could be a really positive thing for us and save us. You know, it was $400,000 to get those windows done. So this will save us everything but materials.
I mentioned that in our last Birthplace of Kentucky meeting, and the idea came up of perhaps, rather than just having a blank and ugly piece of plywood, have kids do something, if it can be done artistically, to put in the window while that window is being reglazed.
I'm not sure how long the process takes to reglaze the window.
Real long. I mean, they could probably do a window in a week.
Yeah, so if it's going to be just a short time, it might be, but I mean, it could be.
Now, we could paint a scene on a window.
That's what I'm.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
That
and if we have some very artistic kids and perhaps art teachers from Danville and Boyle County, it would be their involvement at Birthplace.
Be a good idea. So, okay, we'll have to remember that. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, Magistrate Cullen has stolen some of my thunder, but that's okay. Farmers Market, yours truly will be opening the Farmers Market Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Also, as he said, the Earth Day event, our recycling director, Angie, will be there with some things that she has gotten as giveaways to pass out. So there'll be Earth Day vendors, there'll be Farmers Market vendors, and Jeff told me last week that he is up to about 85 vendors. So the park is going to be full on Saturday with both events going on at the same time. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Also, the Tiny Art Show at the Art Center. Help me, Julie. What's the name?
The Community Art Center of the Bluegrass?
Yeah, thank you. We'll be going on at 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon, so you can go and purchase a piece of art for $20. I think that's pretty neat. The budget meetings, Magistrate Gay alluded to that, May the 6th appropriations, and then Shannon, I only had 2 more scheduled. Is that right? The 20th and the 27th?
May the 6th.
May 6th.
May the 20th is for review.
Yeah.
And then the
May 27th.
7th, we were gonna take it to the court.
Okay, so there wasn't one between the 6th and the 20th. I thought
No,
maybe I had
Just
just one.
regular fiscal.
Just regular.
court.
Regular fiscal
Yeah,
court,
yeah.
yeah, okay. All right, so get those dates on your calendars, May the 6th, May the 20th, and then May 27th is the fiscal court meeting, I believe, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Where we'll do our first reading. Let's see, also, I want to acknowledge, Councilman Series is here today. Thank you for being in attendance. And I believe that's all I have.
I have one thing. I think Roger needs to come to the podium again. He has one more thing that he forgot.
Mr. Johnson,
There
present
you go,
yourself
Roger.
at the podium.
Okay. It usually happens every time I do this, but I need to ask for pay on delivery on the paper.
There's a big sign there.
I didn't include that in my motion, so sorry you had to stay out. But yeah, that- I make that.
Well,
You want to amend your motion?
I'm in, yeah, that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a
Who was
second.
the second on that?
Who was?
I think I was.
I was,
Oh,
I thought I was.
I think Steve
Yeah.
was.
All right, hang on, let's see.
I know where it is.
Tina let me slip on that one.
There's a note right
There
there.
is a note right there.
Measure Gay, Measure
Okay.
Cullen. Okay, so you amend your motion, you second the amended motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Pay on delivery. Thank you. Sure.
I forgot to tell everybody, I had the pleasure of attending the inauguration of Chief Justice David Lambert last week, and it's really neat. And you know, Frankfurt, the capital, is going to be closing down, kind of like how our courthouse is going to be closing down. I think they said, I don't know, 10 years? I don't know. It's a long time. They purchased some downtown property, but it was really neat to be able to attend that, and that was the same room that I attended where I was sworn in, the Supreme Court courtroom there, and I mean, she's the first female Chief Justice of the Kentucky Supreme Court. Another interesting thing is there's 7 justices. It's the first time they have a female majority. There's 4.
Oh,
Female, so
that's
there's
neat.
a
That is
majority
neat.
there, and it's interesting how, because
Great.
that was male dominated over time, because there's a bathroom right outside of the courtroom, men. So
We have to change that.
So I think they're gonna do some changes as the renovations and so forth take place, but I'm glad I got to go.
That's neat.
And there's one more first on the Kentucky Supreme Court, the first black woman.
Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yep. Okay,
So that's it.
that's it. Brian, you got anything to tell us?
I do not.
Okay. Thought maybe you'd come in to make a really important announcement.
No, I brought the papers that about the
Okay.
thing I'll hand out after the.
Okay. All right, so with that, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn, and we would like to adjourn in memory of Von P. Drake Jr., the oldest Pearl Harbor survivor.
There's a center student that touching being about.
Okay, so we have a motion for that?
Second.
Have a motion by Magistrate Bodner, a second by Magistrate Gay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. We're adjourned.